Hey everybody, my name is Brian, that is Shane, and we are the Popcast. You are watching our Unleashed review of Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 2. I like to call it the boring courtroom episode.
And I like to call it the best episode of Strange New Worlds in a season and a half that we've seen.
So, we are clearly going to be on two different sides of the coin here. So it's going to be an interesting review because I think that my point counter is going to be in the negatives while Shane's is in the positives, and this will be the first time in 100 reviews now that we've done this where we were so polar opposite in opinion. So you do not want to miss this, my friend. If you do not know how it works, it's pretty simple. If we like something, we give it an upvote. And if we dislike something, we give it a downvote, a la Reddit. And at the end of the review, we are going to average those two numbers and come up with an official Popcast Unleashed score. You ready, Shane?
Season 2, Episode 2 is Ed Astra per Aspera. It's an Una-centered episode. And of course, this is the episode that actually takes off where Strange New Worlds left off last season, with Una being incarcerated. The show opens up in a flashback of Una when she was a child. She's injured, but her family can't go to the doctor because they will find out that she's been genetically modified. So it's a quick little cut scene here. You get a chance to see Una's parents. You get a chance to see her energy and the fact that she's glowing on the inside, which is apparently something that some Illyrians do, but not all. So very interesting.
Yep, and she can't go to a regular doctor, because, she's genetically modified and everyone hates genetically modified people or something.
Yeah, they live in a Federation colony. It actually became a colony just before she was born. And of course, Federation doesn't allow for genetically modified individuals, thanks to the eugenics wars in the 1990s. And so, so her family, but they live there, so they have to kind of make it work. And it's part of their family heritage, apparently, this genetic modification.
And this is my first downvote, Shane.
All right.
Because how long has it been since the eugenic wars?
The 1990s.
Right. And we are in the 2300s, I believe.
Right.
So a few hundred years.
Okay. What's your downvote?
The downvote is we're still holding on to prejudices from 300 years ago in an enlightened utopian socialist world with, a universe or the Federation where no one worries about money and everything's based on merit and the content of your character and all that good stuff. Yet we are still obsessed with the eugenic wars from 300 plus years ago.
Well, I will say that, this does align. Strange New Worlds doesn't align with canon frequently, but this is one of those cases where they do. I mean, if you downvote it here, that means you got to downvote TOS, TNG, DS9, Voyager, and everything that comes later, because they all are anti-genetic augmentation.
Really?
So Starfleet is still, in Picard's time, still against genetic modification.
Last time I checked, they weren't afraid of Khan when they loaded Khan up on the ship in Space Seat.
Yeah, he's the reason why. And the Federation has never changed its stance on genetic modification. So, I mean, if you're going to argue it, you can, but at this time, this is very much in line with canon. So you may not like it, but
maybe they don't allow genetically modified individuals into Starfleet, which is silly. Maybe they don't, but the level in which it's showing them being persecuted for being genetically modified, literally being born different, is just silly. Like, you're saying that in TNG, Picard and his crew would be afraid of a genetically modified Illyrian? What about genetically modified other species?
I don't know if they'd be afraid of them, but the reason why, the eugenics wars are the reason why the law exists. And they, when the eugenics wars happened, you go back and take a look at it, they dominated the planet for years, and they essentially, you had these superhumans that were, oppressing the rest of humanity. And so they just don't want to see that happen again. And so that's why the laws were created. And, they've never really run into a situation where the Illyrians are one of those races where this is occurring. We don't run into this very much in Star Trek. And so it's kind of, I think, running head on into the rules that we haven't spent a lot of time in Star Trek kind of worrying about, because it's not been, a main storyline in most of our Star Trek shows.
Yeah,
So,
I just don't know if it would be this prevalent where like they're literally treated like a subspecies because they're genetically modified.
well, okay, so
That seems like modern, issues being crammed into an existing part of Star Trek to me.
well, Una will explain it later. It's not that the Federation is treating genetically modified people inhumanly. It's that the law has given regular people the power to treat genetically modified people poorly. So it's like when you have laws against, let's go back to World War II Nazi or Germany, right? The Jewish people were treated terrible because the government supported the fact that you could treat those people terrible. And humanity tends to have this way of being cruel to people that they're allowed to be cruel to when there's no consequences, i.e. the internet, right? So, that's what she's talking about. She was treated poorly by other people who treated, augmented people badly. That's what this episode's about. Now, Starfleet did have the rule, so it's not, they weren't going to throw her in prison for being genetically modified. They would have probably been, sent out of the colony or sent away. But she definitely wasn't allowed to join Starfleet. So if they had found out that she was augmented, they wouldn't have arrested her, right? Mm. They would have just said, no, you can't be a part of what we're doing. Yeah. And her family wanted to be a part of it. She wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, it seems for a utopian society, that just seems excessive. So that's the reason for my downvote.
All right.
Here we are. We are in a room where
we're in a room.
Some kind of room. I see the logos on the wall. Pretty good. Is that the IDIC logo?
I mean, it looks like the Federation of Planets, the UP,
right?
The UFP
looks like logo. The UFP logo, the Starfleet logo, and what's the other one?
It's hard to tell there in the background, but
wouldn't it be hilariously obtuse if it was the IDSC logo and they're prosecuting someone for being different?
Well, that's what this story ends up being about, doesn't it? If we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves,
right?
But yeah. So essentially, we're here, and you have Captain Battelle, and her and Una's assigned counsel.
Notice the way he's sitting. Yeah, this is the start. I'm not going to download this yet, but just recognize that this is the start of this entire episode where there isn't a single masculine presence in authority in the entire episode. In fact, her lawyer that was assigned to her is clearly emasculated by the person.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Opposite of him, yeah.
There's a reason for it. So Battelle is basically, giving her a plea deal. He wants her to plead guilty, and they'll let her off with time served, but she can't continue to serve in Starfleet. And now I know you've got this thing here with the guy who basically says, "Look, you should probably take the deal." Right. And she's like, "Don't you think we should talk about this in private?" But then we missed the comment, I believe. So a lot of people would say, "Oh, they're just beating up some dude here." The reality is that he works for Captain Battelle.
Right.
This guy does. And he's been assigned as her thing. So I think what they're trying to show here is that he's not going to be a good lawyer for her.
Right. And
that's the purpose.
That's a nice little a nod to how ridiculous the justice system can be. Like if you get let's say you get arrested for going 120 miles an hour down the grapevine at 10 o'clock at night with your lights off. Not that I know anything about that. But let's say you get arrested for that, right? Because you're going unsafe speeds. And you go to court to fight the ticket because you weren't going 120 miles an hour. Your car doesn't even go that fast. Let's get out of here. It's a 1987 Civic. And not that I know anything about that. But let's say you go there and you get a defense attorney that was assigned to you. And what you don't realize is that he's working in the office right across the hall from the prosecuting officer, and like they have coffee together. And
well, and they're trying to get a job. This is what's funny about defending. Their whole idea is to get a job in the prosecutor's office. So you end up being, one of these defenders until you get selected to be in the prosecution's office. So you don't want to piss off the prosecution.
Right. It's a broken system.
Yeah.
That's why you got to hire someone. It's in the United States. You got to hire a company, a man like Saul Goodman, who doesn't care about getting his hands dirty. He just wants to wants to get paid, and he only gets paid if he gets you off.
That sounds really bad.
That was the best though. It's like, I only get paid if I get you off. He goes, that didn't sound right. That didn't sound right.
Such a great show. I mean, that's probably one of the best shows of. God.
It's one of those shows where you're like, I don't know which one's better, Better Call Saul, or after all this time, I honestly don't know which one's better, Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. I'm leaning toward Better Call Saul because, whatever his name is such a fun actor to watch. He's so nice to watch him work.
I'm almost thinking that the two can't exist alone anymore. Like they are required, and not that this is a review of that, but I almost think you need both series now that they've been created in order to be able to appreciate the whole thing.
Yep. And the best way to watch it, my friends, is to watch watch a portion of Better Call Saul, then Breaking Bad, and then the rest of Better Call Saul, and then El Camino. Like if you watch it chronologically, it's fantastic. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so basically Una's like, you can tell that, she doesn't like the plea deal because she still wants to be in Starfleet.
Right.
So if we continue on here, it goes back and forth a little bit. I mean, that's the gist of what's happened. You don't need to really go into it. The guy's like, obviously, terrible.
Like, oh, then you should take the deal. Oh, no.
She's like, don't you think we should talk about this in private?
Such a wimp.
Yeah.
All right.
So we pick up on Pike. He's on Una's Illyrian homeworld where humans can't breathe the atmosphere. Only the genetically altered can live in that environment. And they've done it specifically, so that people will leave them alone. He wants to speak with an Illyrian who is one of the best lawyers in the quadrant, I hear later on in the galaxy, and who is also a childhood friend of Una.
In the galaxy?
Yeah.
Did they really say that? In the galaxy?
He does say it. But he tells April she's one of the best one of the best, social defense lawyers in the galaxy? Yeah, something like that.
I want to downvote that so hard, but I can't verify when he says that. That's so
How many others do you know?
In the galaxy, bro. The galaxy's huge.
Well, as far as he knows, she's the best in the galaxy. And, that's his opinion, so you can't really downvote his opinion.
He should have said, the best defense attorney I know.
Right. Anyways, Nira is her name, played by Yetide Badaki. And she was a standout in American Gods. We're going to see her in just a second. I'm not going to give this a downvote, but I want you to note here, the person in authority over Pike, because she's the gatekeeper in between him and the lawyer Shane's referring to. Once again, just treats Pike poorly, just standoff, sort of rude. And I'm not going to downvote it. It's not enough to downvote, but it's certainly a note. I want you to note that because it's going to justify my next downvote. Well, it's a good reason, though, that she's being that way, because they do not like people from Earth, and they don't like the Federation, and they don't like Starfleet. And here is a captain of Starfleet sitting right in front of him, and this woman has already been told not to let him in by her boss. So, yeah. Now, the funny thing is, though, is he's running out of air. And once she realizes that he's not going to go, even though he's going to basically pass out and die, she lets her boss know, and she ends up letting him come back.
I like that face, man.
Which is, kudos to Pike. This is how far Pike is willing to go to save Una, and that's a sign. That's for his character. I give him an upvote for that for sure.
You want to give him an upvote? Okay.
Yeah. For Pike's character and the fact that he's willing to stand up for his.
I'll upvote that too. That's a good reason.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the best lawyer in the galaxy, everyone.
Yetide Badaki. She was in American Gods, and she doesn't have a long career, but she's a good actress. I think
she was great in American Gods.
She's great in American Gods, and she's excellent in this episode. She doesn't want to see him. She has a something wrong, something in her past with Una that we don't know about yet. But it also becomes obvious that she's completely aware of her case and she's actually been following it, which basically tips Pike off to let him know that she really does care at some level. And then Pike appeals to her desire to get attention for her other cases, since it's been a big movement for her to try to get support for Illyrian acceptance inside the Federation.
I'm going to upvote this office. I'm not going to lie. First off, her chair is using some kind of repulsor tech or whatever. It's floating on its own.
You're right. That is cool.
That's good. Awesome. And then notice the vertical gardens here. These are plants in vertical. That's pretty awesome.
That's unique. Good set stuff. Now it is a really large space for such an office, but I've noticed the thing about Strange New Worlds is all of their spaces are huge. I don't know what it is, but like even that last scene where Captain Batel was giving Una her deal was ginormous. Like they were in the small space in the center. You see that a lot in Strange New Worlds. Very large spaces. Makes me wonder. I know they're shooting this stuff in Vancouver. They must have some big spaces up there.
They paid for the entire soundstage, and damn, we're going to use it all.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. So, that was a very, very fast upvote to my now downvote here. Once again, and I do like her, but I do not like how incredibly rude she is and how dismissive and emasculating she is toward Pike. And
she doesn't like, but you have to understand her reasoning. So if a character doesn't have a reason to be a bitch, then yes, you're right. But if she has a reason, then you can't fault a character for being true to who their character is. And she can't stand the Federation. She can't stand Starfleet. She says specifically, I am not a friend of Una's and I am not your friend. She does not like Pike. She does not like the Federation or Starfleet, and she has a problem with it. And so she's not going to be nice to it. Pike actually has to win her over here. Mm-hmm. And that's what changes things. So, I mean, you can downvote it if you want, but you can't just downvote somebody because she's a bitch. You have to downvote it because the character's has no reasoning for it. There's no motivation. Doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to downvote every single, in this episode, every single over the top, dramatically obscene woman of power that emasculates the person or man on the other side of the table, because it happens so frequently this
even
episode.
If it has a good reason.
Well, I mean, if every single one has a good reason, yet the entire episode is full of nothing but that, then the actual episode itself doesn't have a good reason.
Well, I've given you two. The first two complaints you had, I've given you two reasonable explanations for both that make sense. I guess we'll go forward and see what happens.
Hey, you know what? If every single one of these instances that I reference here have a good reason, then I'll go back and I'll reverse two of my upvotes. Downvotes.
I love that. All right.
Yeah, I'm reasonable. I'm a reasonable guy.
That's all we care about here is when you're given the facts, you can change your opinion.
Yes.
And that's important.
Yes.
For all of us.
All right. So, yeah, I guess she agrees to it or whatever. Get onto it.
There's a whole lot of just back and forth here, which is, it's good dialogue, but it's longer than it probably needs to be.
Oh, yeah, certainly. Definitely longer than it needs to be.
He charms her, though. He charms her. She ends up because he tells her basically that he, changed his opinion on Illyrians. He made a mistake in the past, something we've never seen. And he just wanted her to know that he's different. And she says, well, let me know when the rest of Starfleet changes its opinion.
Right.
But she can tell that she's impressed.
And then he leaves. Or at least we assume he leaves. Okay. Now we're back with Una. And
so,
downvote.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, this is weird. And I'm going to give it a downvote as well. When you're editing, this is an editing problem, or it's a director problem. The director didn't shoot a scene, an establishing shot, or the editor didn't leave it in. You cannot go from Nira's office to Una's cell. Like you can't do that. I mean, from one to boom. I mean, it's a different planet. There has to be some sense of of time moving, right, Brian?
Yes. From my perspective, Una was in the other room.
Right. That's what it seems like.
You know,
I mean, we know it's not true, but you're right.
Right. From my perspective, from the viewer perspective, she agrees to it and then walks into the other room to talk to Una. It's like there needs to be an establishing shot, some kind of padding, something to illustrate the fact that she was just on. I mean, how much time has passed? I'm so disoriented by what's happening right now because she went from one planet that was far enough away for Pike to have to take a shuttle for a couple days.
2.5 days.
2.5 days to get to. Immediately to she's in Federation space. I don't.
No, it's a mistake for sure. Nira shows up, and it's been 25 years since they've seen each other. So they did know each other as kids.
How old is Una? Jesus.
I know. It's like Una seems older than, I would say, she's okay. Well, I'll just say this is, Rebecca Romaine is 50. So, but let's just say she's 40. So maybe the last time we saw each other was when they're 15. I don't know. But I would have thought it would have been longer than 25 years, honestly.
All right.
Yeah. Nira tells her to take the deal and move on, but Una refuses. Nira agrees to not take the plea deal, but lets Una know she's not doing it for her. She's doing it for herself and for every Illyrian who can't be who they really are. So that's we learned that. She's got a bone to pick. She's upset with Una about something. We don't really know why she is. I think maybe we're led to believe because she joined Starfleet, but we don't truly understand what their backstory is here. But she does convince Nira to represent her, which is good.
Cool. All right. And downvote again. I mean, let's be real. There should be two downvotes. First off, last time we saw Pike, as in, the last scene he was in, he was 2.5 days away on another planet. And now he's just in his kitchen cooking. There should be two downvotes because, damn, the guy's always cooking. But I'm not going to downvote that until the end of the season if it continues to be so prevalent. But I'll tell you right now, once again, the same exact problem as the lawyer. It's disorientating to go from one setting so far away. It's as if travel time just doesn't exist in this world. He walked from her office into his kitchen and started cooking. That's what I see.
They really needed to see him coming back on board the Enterprise somehow. I mean, we even forget really that he's on board the Enterprise. He's actually this is in his room. I guess he has a kitchen and all this stuff. This is on board the Enterprise. I'm going to downvote it, but not because of that reason, because I felt like we already downvoted that. But I'm going to downvote it because he's cooking. Again. And I don't need... Captain Pike cooked all last season.
Dude, he has a massive cabin. My God.
Need him to cook all the time.
Yeah.
So, I don't think Voyager's galley was that big.
No. Voyager's entire galley was the size of a quarter of that kitchen.
Right.
And it's funny.
This was back there all tight. It was you couldn't move around. There's like room for one pot and some crazy concoction.
And that's like 100 years from now. It's crazy, but I do like that awesome herb garden that appears to be another vertical sort of.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, they got some good visuals. It's they got great architecture. There's some, some obviously interesting walls that don't need to be that shape, but are like the structures over there. I mean, they really took some architecture and took it again. That's
a good point though. Like, why are there? Look at the walls in the back. Like that was clear. That's clearly purely aesthetic. Right, that space should be open in some way. Like,
yeah, a ship is not built for aesthetics. It's typically built for, the structure is. Some of the structures are interesting on ships because, as you get to certain parts of it, it's lower or taller, and it does look odd. But that's definitely for visuals.
No, yeah. Like if there was a wall there, fine, it'd be separating something. But like it's just random pillars in the middle of nowhere. It's weird, right. Very odd, very odd.
So Captain Battelle goes to Pike, who is cooking in his quarters, and vents about Una not taking the plea deal. We find out that her boss is forcing her hand and will throw the book at Una if she doesn't take the deal. Pike frustratingly tells Battelle that what if the law is wrong? His girlfriend leaves frustrated. In the relationship does feel a bit strained here, but you can tell that there's a part of Battelle that's doing this because she cares about how it's going to affect Pike. I'm not sure how much she cares about Una, as much as she cares about how what happens to Una is going to affect this guy that she likes a lot.
Right. She has nice dimples.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, because it's going to affect Pike. In fact, I don't know if it's here or later on. Like, I think it's later on when he's like, "I'll take the stand." She was like, "You absolutely cannot do that because they're gonna find out that you knew about it." Yeah. All right, and you know what this is right here, guys? This is called an establishing shot.
Yeah, I like this. It lets us know we've moved because there are times when there's confusion.
Yeah, all of us. Yeah. Now we know we're back on Earth. It's San Francisco, whatever. Maybe you don't know it's San Francisco, but like if you watch Star Trek, you know it's San Francisco. And you know, and this is also where Starfleet is located, right, or the headquarters.
This is a great shot. So I'll give them. You know, I'm not going to give them an upvote for doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, doing the bare minimum, right?
But kudos for getting it right.
Yeah, you got it right.
We needed a picture of the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge.
Yep, and they're in the office, and now another person in charge. And guess what? That is It's a powerful, strong, powerful female. For some reason,
judge,
and that's completely fine. Except for you'll find by the end of this episode, there isn't a single human male in a position of power this entire episode. It's literally every single position of power is held by some kind of.
There are only 3 positions of power technically. Well, there's 5 positions of power, right? You have the judge. You have the 2 other judges that sit with her. Then you have the prosecuting attorney, which is not Battelle. It's the Vulcan guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this attorney. So really, there's only 2 women that are in power.
Well, so far I've counted 3.
Who's the third?
Pike's girlfriend.
No, she's not in charge.
Yeah, I mean,
the Vulcan's in charge. She's not in charge. In fact, she's emaciated. If you want to be truthful about it, during the episode, he sits her down.
Yeah, at some point he does, but
so she's not in power. So I will agree with you that 2 women are in power, but
I mean that's a stretch. I see her as up until that one moment at the very end when the Vulcan guy takes over, she was in charge. And then you have the best galaxy in the world, and then you have the judge and the people that were sitting with her, right? And there's another character coming up that's also there isn't a single. Bottom line is in the entire episode there isn't a single human male that is in a position of power. Every single position of power is being held, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why not throw a random person in there.
You say human male, you're right, but there are men in power.
There's a couple random, humanoid aliens or whatever.
There's 2 Vulcans,
but they don't talk except for except for the prosecuting alien.
Right. Well, there's 3 judges. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think your bias is showing a bit.
It's not my bias. It's like give me one single person in charge who's not being emasculated in this show. Just one.
Well, that's an overall problem with the show altogether. I mean, if you want to talk about it being a problem, is that every character, in order to show dominance, emasculates whatever character they're talking to. So the only way the writers know how to deal with the characters and to make someone look strong is to make someone else look weak.
Right.
And that's a problem with a lot of new Star Trek writing. And it's obvious here in Strange New Worlds. They don't know how to have 2 people be strong and be able to convey the emotions that they want to convey. It's just lack of experience, I think.
Well, this is also like the crab in the bucket issue. Like when you do it that way, it makes both characters look weak to the audience.
It does. Yeah.
Because if a crab's got to pull another crab down to get up there, then both crabs never get to where they need to be.
But I would argue that nobody's emasculated. So that's the one thing that you've said is that these characters are emasculating other characters. They're not. It's a courtroom drama. They have a job to do, and they're trying to get their person off. It isn't because you're a man and I'm going to speak badly to you. It's you're on the thing and you've done something, and now I'm going to, cross you, or I'm going to, harshly deal with you.
Yeah,
And
I get
that's
that.
fair.
I get that. But go back to Una's lawyer. Extraordinarily masculine.
But I
understand.
explained that. That was
Because it's his boss, right. And,
right.
and
it
there's
was supposed to-
explanations, but again, there isn't a single male that is in a position of authority this episode
well,
lacks
there's no human male, but there's
this episode lacks any kind of masculinity whatsoever. I don't see, and there's no masculinity in this entire episode.
well, Pike just gave masculinity to his girlfriend by yelling at her and saying, "What if the law's wrong?"
He didn't yell at her. He talked
sure the hell
calmly
did.
while she yelled at him.
Oh,
What?
no, he didn't. He yelled at her. Yeah, go
He
back
did
and look
not
at it.
yell at her.
He did. He got angry.
Okay.
He was manly in that moment.
Agree to disagree on that.
I mean, we can watch it again. I mean, it happened. So there's no agree to disagree. It either did or it didn't. But in this situation, I mean, look, it's all about perspective. Here's the deal, Brian. You don't like girls who get angry and are in charge. You don't like boss girls.
I don't mind it. No.
And
I don't mind it
on your TV shows, perhaps.
No, I don't mind it in TV shows as long as there's the perspective of the masculine perspective is also being represented.
As long as I don't need a representation. I just need reality. I need it to be real.
Right, which in reality there is both a masculine and a feminine perspective.
Well, I'm saying in the show. So if they choose to have a female lawyer for a female client, and they choose to have a female and a male lawyer for the other one, and they choose to have a female judge, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, obviously they got a female bias. I'm going to take a look at it and see, did these people interact the way they're supposed to be? Now, I do have a criticism for the judge, this female judge coming up here, but I think all you're saying is they didn't cast her as a guy. That's all you're saying. And I think that's just not fair.
No, I'm not saying that they didn't cast her as a guy. I'm saying they didn't cast a guy.
There's only another spot. It's either her or Kira. Who else do they cast?
We'll see when we get to that. So you're saying Patel is not in a position of authority, but I disagree.
No, she's not. She's not in a position of authority. She's doing exactly, as she's already said, exactly what her boss is making her do. She's already said it. She's doing exactly what she's been told to do. There's nothing. Her hands are tied. She just told Pike, "There's nothing I can do."
Okay, so you're saying Patel is not in a position of authority, but that's not what was displayed in the first 10 minutes of the episode.
When she was giving when she was putting her on a plea deal,
right?
She's doing what she's told.
Okay, and so she's doing what she's told, and
by a man,
and the other lawyer is doing. I mean, did we see that man?
We haven't seen him yet, but he's coming.
We haven't seen him. The Vulcan is not the person who is in charge of her.
Yes, he is her boss. He's the judge.
That is not what I got from that at all.
It is 100%
this guy right here,
and she even says it. Yes, she is his boss.
Interesting.
He's the judge advocate general. She's just a prosecutor.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he's the boss. He's the man.
Well, I guess there's a masculine figure.
Yeah, but
Vulcans don't really have.
He's an asshole, but yeah.
Yeah, they don't really exude the masculine energy.
We're going to get more of that coming up soon.
Yeah.
Anyways, I hear what you're saying, but I just feel like there's times when they create these shows where, yes, it's true. They have these, like, they've over woman personified. I mean, Discovery does it to no end, right? But there's generally you go, well, what was the point of that? And they did it in Strange New Worlds in the first episode when Uhura talks down to the dudes who come, Uhura and Ortegas. Yeah. Talks down to the guys who came to inspect their stuff.
Yeah, Ensign Burley.
Yeah, Ensign Burley.
His name was Ensign Burley.
No, it was Burley Inspector.
Burley Inspector.
So you're right. There are times it happens, and I will call those things out. But I just think that they're, unless you're saying they picked a female judge instead of a male judge, I get it. And and the reason they picked this girl, they picked this actress, Yetide Bataki, to play this role is because they were friends as children. It makes more sense to have a female friend as a child than a male friend.
I agree with that.
So to have that, so that makes sense. Batel is already part of the story, but she's shown not to be in charge. So, I mean, really the only problem here is this female judge who's barking orders around. So, I don't know.
All right. So basically in this scene, they're saying they're going to throw the book out of her. She had 25 years or something like that.
Yeah, and this is what she was warning about. Look, when she went to Pike frustrated, this is what she was telling him. Like there's nothing I can do. Like they're gonna throw the book at her. And they're charging her all the way. And the reason why she's being so cold is because, really she doesn't have a choice. Her boss is standing behind her. It's, she can't afford to be weak in front of the defense. So I mean, I don't know. I'm just looking at it as Una picked her path and she made her choice, and this is what's going to happen. They're not going to go easy on her just because she decided to plead not guilty.
Right. I mean, that's good. That's a good explanation.
All right. And then let's see. La'an. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, this is pretty funny. So what they were charging her with, just real quick, is that they were now charging her with up to 20 years in a Federation penal colony for what happened. That's what's going to happen if they go to trial. And now they're talking. Go ahead.
What a wild thing, though. That's what an over. That just seems insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But they got her on 2 counts of, I want to say not insurrection, but 2 counts of sedition, which was the intention of doing something bad inside of Starfleet, like joining with the intention of creating havoc or negativity,
right?
Of trying to overthrow the ideology. And so that's what gets the major offenses, like the 10 years each or whatever.
Yeah. We're going to behead you. All right.
You could get, for sedition in the U.S. military, you could get life imprisonment.
Jeez.
So, but Una here tells her she wants to go on the stand to defend herself. But Nira says it'll just make things worse. She gives her some explanations. And then Una finally agrees to do it Nira's way. She sees that Nira is really willing to help her now for the first time. And I think that's why Una backs down and says, okay, let's do it your way.
All right. So they're going to do it Una's way.
No, they're going to do it Nira's way.
I'm sorry, Nira's way. All right, here we go. La'an. Did I say it right? La'an?
Yeah, that was perfect.
All right.
Woo.
So La'an gives her their cabin. They have a conversation about.
I think this is good. Did you catch this in the beginning? So she's like, of course, she gave us these quarters. It's got a picture of her as a kid, right? It's almost like Pike's like greasing the skids, trying to get her emotional, trying to get her sentimental, right? It's kind of an underlying move from Pike, to give her that as the workspace. And right. So that she's, because he really wants her to take care of Una. La'an shows up here. She's the one who's responsible for setting her up. But also La'an has something else happens. We go back to the first season, and I don't remember if we actually saw it or not, but she's concerned. She's telling Nira that she believes that it's possible that somebody maybe turned in some records that incriminated Una. And I don't know if we don't learn about it yet, but later on we're going to learn about exactly why that is. And
yeah, and that's why La'an wants to find out who it was for whatever reason, right?
Yeah, and so we're going to find out more about that. But this comes up here, and she starts asking questions about it, and that's something that it plays an important role later in the show.
Right. Yeah. So she wants to find out basically who turned Una in, and she starts her little investigation to do so.
So this part here frustrates me a little bit. So we see, go back. Yeah, there you go. So we see Pike, he's having dinner, and you have Captain Battelle coming in. And I can't tell if they're in 10 forward on the Enterprise or they're on space dock. I mean, that is a huge freaking 10 forward, as we'll see.
Yeah. My question is why doesn't he just eat in his expansive kitchen the size of my house?
Right. Well, I mean, I get going to 10 forward, and I just don't know where this is located. And we're going to see this frequently. Is it on space dock? So they're sitting in space dock. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I don't know. So it's a downvote for me because I don't know where they're at.
Right. And you can see the Earth behind them. Makes me think it might be space dock.
Well, right. So it makes me think it's probably space dock. But here's the thing. Like, you got to let us know that it's space dock, mm-hmm. right? Where are we
Right.
at right now? And because we're not just going to see these guys, we're going to see Ortegas and Spock and the Jag and Mbenga. You know, there's more people coming here. Where are they? Why is the Jag having dinner in space dock when he's doing a case in San Francisco?
Right. Good.
Right.
Good. Good point. He was just in San Francisco. Why is he now on space dock?
I mean, maybe he's got business on space. I don't know. Maybe it's pretty routine to go back and forth between the two, but he's here having, you know, he's meeting with Spock. So maybe he's got a meeting, but is he on space dock or is he space dock or is he on the Enterprise? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm confused.
I just noticed, those are those Dyson fans right there.
Yeah, those are cool.
I have one of those.
So Captain Batel and Pike meet at dinner and she starts asking him questions about how well he knew Una and that she was an Illyrian. Pike's telling her, basically, this is the thing you talked about earlier. Pike was saying he wants to go on the stand and help her. And this is where she basically asks him the question, how long did you know that she was an Illyrian? And she's able to convince Pike that all it will do is indict him on charges.
Right.
And which is good because we need that for later. So it's a good scene to have for the courtroom drama. This scene's interesting.
Right. Okay. So you have Pike, Patel, you have Mbenga, Ortega, and you have Spock.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
Is that them back there? Stop right there. Is that them? Is that behind Mbenga? Is that Pike?
No. They're looking at Pike.
I see.
I believe.
No, they're looking at Spock.
Oh yeah. I don't know if that's them or not.
So this is funny. I mean, it's actually a little funny. Like Ortegas is like trying to say what the conversation they're having, and it's very Vulcan and very dry and it's humorous. It's there's moments when you can be light humored in Star Trek, and I think this was an okay moment where she's basically thinks that they're just cool having dinner together, and basically that Jag guy is the enemy, right? He's trying to, and it irritates Ortegas a little bit that Spock is just chilling with him, having a good time. But Mbenga says, "Oh, you don't recognize that there is tension going on there." That's my best Mbenga, by the way. And so there's this moment where, and this is what I hate. This is a big downvote for me. This is a huge downvote. Okay. Spock then gets up, sees that they're looking at them, and he walks over, and he apologizes for his outburst. Okay. There's no outburst that occurs. Nothing happens over there. They're just having a conversation. And if Mbenga can see that there's some tension, that's maybe because he's been around a while. He spent time with Vulcans. He kind of understands it. But let me tell you what Spock would not do. Spock would not get up and go over and say, I apologize that you had to see that. Okay, that's just not something that Spock would.
He is the worst.
Leonard Nimoy Spock is rolling over in his grave right now. I mean, it's just not. It's embarrassing. Okay, it's set up to be a funny scene because the two Vulcans appear to be having a normal conversation, right? But this is the stuff that Strange New Worlds does that drives me crazy. Last episode, Spock was crying. Okay, he was crying with Nurse Chapel. He was having all kinds of emotional issues, and now he's apologizing as if he isn't aware when he is showing emotion and when he's not. He was showing no emotion at the table. Okay? So why would he get up and go over and apologize for showing emotion? It's like he's not aware. And that's what the joke is. The joke is on Spock. They are making fun of him. They're laughing at him here because he's unaware of the whole thing. He doesn't realize that nobody noticed that anything was going on because he's not smart enough to know. It's a way to get a cheap laugh. Spock wouldn't have acknowledged anything out of the ordinary in that conversation. And Mbenga would have said, is everything okay? There seemed to be some tension there. To which Spock would have said, I am not sure what you're alluding to, Doctor. Although, of all my father's colleagues, he is the least likable. You see, Spock is always in on it in TOS. He is not oblivious to it. This Spock is oblivious to everything.
Right.
And he's the joke. And he walks away and they laugh at him. So the conversation wouldn't have gone down that way. Spock is the coolest guy in the room. He's not going to be the butt of everybody. He's not the Drax of Guardians of the Galaxy, okay?
Right.
And that's kind of the way they treat him here a little bit. And I just don't like it. So downvote for me.
I already gave him down, but that's fine.
Okay.
All right, moving on. All right. Big downvote from me, dog.
Another downvote. Yeah, I'm with you here. Why don't you go ahead and break down yours?
So, La'an goes to Uhura and says, I need the personal logs so I can find out who turned in Una. I'm paraphrasing. And Uhura's like, nah, bruh. We can't do that. We are Starfleet. We can't give you the personal logs. They're like, I'm asking you as a favor. And she's like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. That would be against Starfleet regulations. As if last episode they didn't steal an entire starship because La'an sent a quick message about her whereabouts. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
She's asking if she can search through some personal logs. And she's like, that's against Starfleet regulations. I can't do that, ma'am.
Yeah, I guess Uhura only breaks Starfleet rules when it's convenient for the plot.
Apparently, they stole a starship. She had no issue with it. When they were in that cabin, and Spock's like, we have to steal the ship to go find La'an. She wasn't like, I'm sorry, sir, that was against Starfleet regulations. She was like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah,
let's ride this whip. No, come on.
And this isn't a Celia Gooding problem. This isn't a Christina Chong problem. It's a showrunner problem, director problem, writer problem. It's like, know what your guys are capable of. The reason why they helped La'an last episode was because La'an said she was in trouble, right? La'an needed help. Okay, La'an tells Uhura here, look, we need to help Una. And Uhura's like, sorry, can't do it.
Yeah, sorry.
It's like, who do you pick, who you help, and who you don't help? If you're in the writer's room, it is your responsibility to say, hey, we just stole the Enterprise next week. How about we do this, but we do it in a way, because this scene is completely unnecessary, by the way.
Right.
This is a completely unnecessary scene.
It's setting up the other thing, right?
It's not even setting up the other thing.
Not really, you're right.
It doesn't set it up at all. It's completely unnecessary. This does not need to happen.
Yeah, they could have just said that she didn't find anything.
Right. She could have just said, I wasn't able to get access to anything. There was no reason to have this confrontation,
right?
So that Uhura could, show she stands by the characteristic Starfleets. Right. You blew it because last week you didn't.
Yeah, last week you stole the starship.
Listen, you can't have it both ways. You can't have incredible character. Now, if she had stood by the rules for some fool from another ship, no problem. But it's Una. You have to break the rules for Una. You've already set the rules of this universe. Uhura has to break the rules.
Yeah.
Uhura's going to break the rules a bunch in the future. She's going to do it a bunch of times. She's going to do it saving Spock. She's going to do it saving Kirk. It's going to happen a bunch of times.
Okay. This is like when you were in the Navy.
It's stupid.
This was like if you, like 1 week you stole the Ronald, you were on the Reagan, right?
Yeah.
You stole the battleship you were on. Oh, it was a battleship?
Carrier.
Carrier. The entire aircraft carrier you were on. And then the following week, when they all laughed about it and said, it's cool, bro, someone asked if you could see the text message from the other, privates or whatever the version of crewmen. Right. And you were like, nah, I can't.
No,
can't
do breaks that. Rules, man. You can't break rules
around here.
I know
about
that. No, it'd be more likely. You know what the biggest rule that people broke aboard the aircraft carrier was? Well, let's make a guess. Let's see if you can guess. What do you think's the biggest rule people broke?
A lot of sex.
That's it, man. It was all about being gone for months, and you got men and women aboard a ship, and they all want to have sex, and they're stuck together, and it's illegal to do so. Right. You get busted. They were having sex all over those ships, man.
Yeah,
they do now today. Yeah. Everywhere they can hide it and do it, they're doing it.
Yeah, Greece and all those nooks and crannies.
Let me tell you, they're doing it on the Enterprise too. They just don't show us. Thank God.
What?
I'm glad.
I got lost for a second.
I said that they're doing it on the Enterprise too, but
I know. I started thinking about it for just a second.
You're like, I was imagining it.
Chapel, Mbanga. All right.
Chapel ain't got no curves.
This works for me, bro. I mean, really everyone on the ship is attractive, so it doesn't. I mean,
It's all good.
all good. All right. Yeah, can't do it. Sorry, boss. All right, moving on. We're in the courtroom here. This Vulcan looks like.
All right, we see you got. Oh, that was a cool shot. If you go back a little bit, you see San Francisco out the windows. It's
Yeah,
nice.
Judge Advocate General's office. I like that.
Yep, and you've got there's the judge, and you've got. I can't tell who the person on the right is. That's not human, right?
Yeah, it's like maybe a Tellarite or something.
Oh,
Maybe not,
okay.
Maybe not a Tellarite. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's definitely
And
not
a Vulcan.
It's not human and a Vulcan.
We might get a close up later. I can't remember, but yeah, there's your Vulcan.
All right,
And of course, everybody's watching it like the O.J. Simpson trial in their office on the Enterprise.
hey, note something.
Televised.
Look in the background. On the view screen in the background.
yeah.
What is that?
That is the first ship to break
It's the
warp.
Phoenix.
It's the Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, that is the Zephyr Cochrane, the first ship to break the warp barrier, built out of some kind of nuke or missile or something.
I love the idea of having a wall thing that has that can throw up different posters all the time.
Yeah, it's super rad.
I
don't know how it fits into this story, but it's cool.
It doesn't. It's just cool history. I mean that's a good thing that they do.
Yes, it is. All right. Yeah, so this is another. Is that the same judge we saw before?
Same one. Yep.
Just different hairstyle or what? Damn.
No, it looks the same.
Her head
Same
looks
old grandma.
bigger somehow.
She's wearing a uniform now.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we got, and it's look at it's a ginormous area. Once
It really
again,
is. Yeah, it's
it's
massive.
ginormous. They got these little tables, and the space is just huge. Look, I mean, God bless them. Don't all the other Star Trek shows wish they had this much space to operate in? I mean, even look at. I'm guessing it's Pike's bedroom they're in still.
I think it's
the ready room.
Yeah.
Even the ready room.
The ready room is giant. Like the ready room in TNG was tiny. Dude, the ready room in Picard was tiny.
I know.
In Picard season 3, that ready room was tiny. This is huge.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the part where she gets up and gives her opening statement. Do you recall this?
Yes, in my first upvote.
And it's my next downvote.
No, I thought this was great. She gives her opening statement. She kind of lays it all out. Let me go to what I have here for my notes. We've kind of got
racism, blah blah blah. She talks about all the atrocities of 2023, and
she
remember,
didn't say 2023.
I mean, no, yeah, but she pretty much did.
She compared apartheid. She did not at all. That's not fair.
That's entirely fair, bro. She talks about racism. She talks about.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I wrote it down somewhere.
There were two comments about Earth things, right?
Yeah, it was all Earth things. What are you talking about?
It was apartheid and it was race laws, right?
Yep. And
there was nothing about
people of skin color and
right
and discriminating against people who they loved and their religion.
Mm-hmm.
It was all things that's happening right now. There wasn't.
It's all things that happen throughout time as well.
No, you got to throw in stuff. You got to throw in some, universe.
Listen, you can talk about racism all you want. You can talk about now. She's talking specifically to Starfleet and to the Federation of Earth, right? This is who she has to prove herself to.
I mean,
so she's going to use things that are.
She's talking to a Vulcan, a Tellarite, and a human, and she's only using things that are checkbox talking points that is happening right now.
Well, racism might also occur not just on Earth, but also amongst other races. So that's something that's universal.
It seemed like the typical diatribe, man. I know we can pawn it off as being, but you gotta throw in. It
would be nice if she threw something like, The Vulcan something or other from this time frame. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool if they.
Well,
added one
how
of
about
those.
when didn't the Vulcans hate the Romulans for a bit? And the Romulans had to go off planet. That's why they split in the first place, because their difference of opinion on emotion. Like there could have been all kinds of things you could have brought in there, but
Maybe.
instead this looks like someone got up in a courtroom in 2023, and was talking about some kind of civil rights case.
Well, she is a civil rights attorney, so that's her job. And we're talking about Illyrians who were treated poorly. That she's fighting for their civil rights, and so she's using examples. She mentioned apartheid, and she mentioned race wars. She mentioned religion, and I think there's probably some example to just people not being able to be who they are, which aligns with this. Now, is
No,
it
she said,
perfect?
yeah,
No.
she did. She said who they love, and their religion and the color of the skin. She
Yeah.
specifically talked about. She talked about slavery was once legal. I mean, come on.
Slavery, yep. Well, slavery's all over. Look at the Orions do slavery. So
She
she
said
didn't specifically
she
say
said
Earth.
she said slavery was once legal. She didn't say it was
Oh,
still legal.
slavery was what's that?
She said a long time ago slavery was once legal.
Yeah,
Slavery
okay.
is still legal right now in the Federation. Not in the Federation, but in the universe they're in. There's races that are practicing slavery.
Right, but not the Federation.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I think, look, you can every time they do one of these allegorical things, they're last season when they showed the pictures of the 2020 January 6th footage,
Oh,
whatever.
yes. And,
Or it was really just I looked at it again. It was really just one image.
It was just one image, yeah.
It was one image of somebody holding up a sign.
But
And so I think
it was the first
it was the first image.
dissolution of the current timeline for some reason.
Yeah. And
Right.
so that it's definitely people have gone down that. So, but I don't think that's what's happening here. And I think we're a little bit clouded about things that have happened in the past. And I just want to be very careful to give Strange New Worlds its own space with this. And so just listening to her talk, I did not feel like I was dealing with 2023 issues specifically because race, religion, creed, all of that stuff has been going on for centuries, right? The Christians were 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 burned at the stake and fed to lions, you know, 2,000 years ago.
She didn't mention any of that. She talked about apartheid.
She didn't apartheid was the only specific thing that she mentioned.
Oh no, and slavery.
But slavery has gone throughout time. So what does that mean?
Okay.
Did she say American slavery?
It just
No.
from everything she mentioned, it sounded like she was talking about 1948 to 1994. That's what
puts it on you. That puts
Does
it
it
on
though?
you. That's in
Everything
your
she
mind.
mentioned is things that have
Slavery?
is things that are talking points now, right? And I guess apartheid is the only thing that she mentioned specifically. But then who you love, the religion you practice, these are all
problems.
These are all things we're talking about. What do you mean? Are they
All
problems
problems
in
for
300
centuries.
years?
All problems for centuries.
Really? You think that's happening?
Really or not?
in
Or not?
in 2300?
It might be. It might have. Who knows how long ago they figured it out? In the time of Cochrane, they were still having issues, right? When they were still. You saw them down there. They
World
still
War
had
Three
problems.
damaged the planet to no end. There was no
Right.
No one was caring about pronouns during Cochrane's time. They were worried about eating food.
It was a slow change, and so what the Federation's history
I
has.
would argue it
of
wasn't a
these-
slow change. It was World War Three, and everyone died, and people left didn't care about checking boxes. They cared about surviving, and that's what fueled Cochrane.
Cochrane's time didn't take place right after World War III. There was time. There were decades there. So the point is that she's referring to the only way the Federation can see how her client situation exists. Her client was, in her viewpoint, bigoted, right, against because of her genetic situation, and the only evidence that she has to use against, to teach the Federation, to show the Federation, is to use parts of its history, right? Which you would have to go back to, I guess, in your argument, you'd have to go back before World War III to a time when that type of thing existed, right? And that's the only way that you could show it. In Star Trek TOS, they did it all the time. They referenced things in our time as well. slavery. They referenced, race issues. They referenced the Vietnam War. There were things that they referenced in our time, back in our day. So it's not a bad thing to do that. It's a bad thing if you do it to try to send a message to people who are watching the show now about what's happening in our time now. That's what Discovery did over and over again. That was a problem.
Right. Discovery
That is
did
not
that.
what Strange New Worlds is doing here.
Discovery did that nonstop.
Yeah.
If she would have thrown in a Vulcan thing or an Orion thing,
I would have appreciated one more Federation-wide thing. She should have done that. I agree. Not enough for a downvote but I also don't think they were trying to. I don't think that they were trying to. I don't think that they're trying to pass off something to you here, a lesson to you about what's happening current day. I don't see that.
It's possible that I've just been smacked around so much that I'm now flinching at
Understandable.
at benign things, and it's entirely possible. I'll let the chat let me know in the comment section. Let me know. Am I flinching at something that's not no one's smacking me around, and because Discovery smacked me around for so long? I don't know.
I mean, if they had said now here's what Discovery would have done. Una would have been a transgender person,
right,
experiencing transgender issues on Illyria in Starfleet. And then it would have been all about that.
It would have been like the Klingons or something that they don't some right. Other like really like some overtly toxic culture not accepting her. Yeah, it would have been something like that. You're right.
Right. Specifically, at least they're using something in the Star Trek universe, gender, gene augmentation as to show racism or it's
That's
one
true.
way to look at it. It's a form of a euphemism. So
when she in the beginning, when she was like, they used to draw horrible things on the side of our walls, and I was like, but why?
Why did they?
And like you were like, well, because the eugenic wars, 300 years ago, like.
No, because the laws allowed regular people like the Nazis, like the Germans did.
Right.
The reason why Jews got turned in is because the Nazi government empowered their people to turn people in. That's the one thing with a society like this. When you empower, what did they do? What did they do during COVID in California? They told have your neighbors call if you're going to work.
They had an app where you can tattle on your neighbors if they went into work or if they didn't wear a mask. There was an app where you can literally tell on your family members and neighbors that broke some kind of COVID restriction that we all figured out way later on was completely unnecessary. Oh, awesome.
And that's straight up like Nazi Germany shit.
Yeah, that is pre-Nazi Germany.
For real. And so I think what they're saying here, and I think it's true to some degree, is that people, if they're allowed to be nasty and there's no consequences for it, they're going to do it. Just take a look at Twitter. There's no consequences for being a complete piece of shit on Twitter.
Remember in Men in Black, Agent K was talking to Agent J, and he's like, no, just tell him the truth. They'll understand. Jay goes, no, I mean, K. He's like, no, listen. A person inherently is good, but a group of people are stupid, mindless idiots.
Yes, it's true. They want to follow each other. 100% right. True. So she sets out her argument here, and basically you can see where she's going to go. She's basically going to say that Illyrians have been persecuted by the Federation, essentially.
Yeah, Federation's racist.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as arguments go, I mean, later on I think I mentioned it, but I would have appreciated them trying to go a different way, but it would have been impossible. I think one of the best ways to have done it would have been, instead of to argue that Una, was persecuted for being this. I mean, that's like an easy path to go. Like, that's the typical path.
Right.
We've done it over and over again. What would have been interesting if she would have argued that gene augmentation is good and that Una is good for humanity, and to argue her as being, that they should embrace Una as the way humanity should go forward. Right. Like, if they would have done that. Now, the problem is if they won, it would have screwed up the rest of Star Trek canon, because obviously
they've already done that. So,
well, you're right. They could have done it, but respect, they didn't. Right.
Right.
But that would have been a better, maybe they could have given it a one-off and given them something to think about for the future. That would have been a better argument. And it wouldn't have fallen into the same trap of, discrimination and that type of thing. But listen, we're getting like a kind of a Star Trek story here. So I'm not going to beat them up too bad because I like when they do actual classic Star Trek stories.
Listen, I know my husband is normally abusive, but today he's only yelling at me, and so I'm okay with it.
It's better.
How you feel about the cross-examination of April?
Okay, so this is great. Another upvote for me here. I love that, that this character is trying to do everything. This is what a defense attorney is supposed to do. Robert April is like beyond reproach. Like, this guy is an admiral. He does the right thing. He obviously cares about everybody he's with. And she's going to debase him here in front of everybody. And she's going to basically say, well, look, you don't follow the rules. And guess what? It's true. Because how many times have captains completely ignored the General Order Number 1, the Prime Directive? Constantly, over and over again. So she's saying, so you just ignore the rules when you want to. That's okay for you to do it. Now, at first, when she starts talking to him, he speaks glowingly about Una. He's the reason she's in Starfleet. He's the one who approved her coming into Starfleet.
Right.
And they ask him the question, would you, it is a Tellarite, you're right. And, they asked the question, would you have done that knowing she was augmented? And then he said, well, no, because that's the rule. So what she really puts him into this, like, this loop that he can't get out of. Like, and she uses her lawyer skills to like trap him. And this is something that I'm not going to downvote it now, but the judge gets really mad at Nira and tells her, he's not on trial. Admiral April is not on trial here. Blah, blah, blah. She's attacking him and she's kind of making him look bad. Right. So hold on to that for a second, because that's going to be a problem later. But I thought she did a really good job of using him to show kind of how it's a little bit hypocritical that the Federation allows some rules while they don't allow others.
Yeah. What's up with the badge? What is that?
It's like our military ribbons. So have you ever seen, you remember the ribbons you had?
Yeah, I had like 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had 3 of them.
I'll show you a picture of mine
everyone
sometime.
else had like 37.
No, they didn't have that many. But if you've been in a long time, you can get quite a bit, depending on what you did. But that's basically what these are. These are awards.
I see.
So, and this is their dress uniform, which is.
They all have it. Look at that.
Yep, they're all wearing their green dress. So yeah, it's interesting. She's wearing her gold. So the judge ends up.
Are they all different? Because his badge and the Vulcan's badge are the same.
They do look the same.
Yeah, they're the same.
Well, they might have the same awards, I guess. Some Navy people, there's these standard awards that you get. Like, once you've been in the service for a year, you get an award, the National Defense.
So they're for
ribbon.
sure like awards, just like the ribbons that we carry on our dress.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, it's on the left breast. It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But of course, Starfleet isn't a military organization. Remember that.
Oh, don't forget that. Yeah, it's not Starfleet's not military.
They do everything like a military organization, but they're not.
Yeah, they call each other admirals and captains and lieutenants and ensigns, and they wear uniforms and dress uniforms, and they have their
they have a hierarchy.
Their military ribbons, but they have this hierarchy. But they're not. They have a JAG office, but they have a JAG office. All the things the military has, but don't forget, they're not a military.
They're not a military, because militaries are bad.
The next time someone says that to me, I'm going to lose my mind, because I get it. They said they're not based on military, but listen, I can say this isn't red, but it looks red.
Sure as hell looks red.
Right. The thing is, like, everything they do, the way they act, everything is like the military. It's like specifically the Navy. So when we criticize them for now all of a sudden not having the military decorum out of the Navy, when everything else they do is like the Navy, that's a valid criticism.
True.
a silly thing.
Well, and it is Gene who said it wasn't a military organization. So I mean, I get it, but the reality is, it is.
Yeah.
It's just a different.
Sorry,
Gene. The military was.
They have admirals, captains, lieutenants, first officers. Come on, God, come on.
Listen, nobody was up on the military during Vietnam. That's all I'm going to say. Like,
right.
Vietnam was a bad time to be in the military. Nobody liked the military. They came home. Nobody had parades for them. They were treated very poorly. And I think Star Trek was being created about the same time, just before that. And, Gene had been in the military, but at the same time, I think that the way they looked at the military in the future was that we don't need military, but yet he used a military foundation. So
yeah, this isn't a microphone. This isn't a hat. What do you want?
And there's a uniform code of justice.
Right.
Just left out the word military. Anyways. Okay, coming back here.
They're still cross-examining April.
Okay, they're still on April. She gives it to him for a while.
Nah. Oh,
so I mean, you may not have liked her for what she was doing to April, but she was defending her person, and I appreciate that.
What did you do? Did you have General Order Number 1?
Wait, do it again. That was good. You are evil.
You are evil, Captain. You racist scum of the earth.
That's the most entertaining thing I've seen all day. That's great. Sorry, actress person. Okay, Nurek.
I was a little turned on here when she started getting angry, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Make up your mind, dude. Like,
no, I don't.
What is it here?
I like a powerful woman. There needs to be an equal. I need equal representation here.
Okay. Well, there's your equal representation.
There you go. There is my pinnacle of male masculinity. Whatever.
Nice.
Guy is clearly wearing a bald cap. You can see the seam, dude. Come on. How do you have such expansive sets?
In all fairness, I think it was a really quick shot. So they probably didn't think you'd catch it.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Una, let's see. So I think after this cross-examination, she kind of goes through it. I'm pretty much done with this portion of it. So if you want to go forward.
Okay.
Yeah. Now,
wow,
okay.
She really goes off for a long time. Jesus.
Well, no, now we're done here. I think if you go back just a touch. Yeah, okay. Yeah, she pisses him off and he's like, I'd still say no, And so then she basically calls him a racist. A fear-mongering racist.
I'm not a racist, damn you. Get out of here, woman.
I got to tell you, I don't think Paramount's going to enjoy us making fun of their people like that. Yeah, she called him racial.
This is the last set of screeners we get, guys, so enjoy it while we got them.
Una, out of fear and racial prejudice of genetically modified people. And the judges lose all their minds. I mean, they all three of them are coming down on her. Look at
it. This looks like that meme
trial.
With the burning house. And then ready?
Dude, look at how far away they are. How big is that damn room? Look at how far away
she
is from Una.
Extreme depth of field here. She's so far away, the camera has to blur in order to pick her up.
Right. That's crazy. Burp, derp. You're having too much fun.
I am.
Okay. Let's see. The Enterprise. Okay. So after this is over right here, we see the Enterprise crew and they're all concerned. They're like, did Captain Pike pick the right lawyer for her? Because they just made Admiral April look bad.
Mm-hmm.
And Una's a little pissed off. She wants to know why Nira did that. Go forward a little more. Yeah, Pike, it's funny. Pike, this actually is really funny. If you go back one more, when he's walking away, right there, when they're all questioning it, it's he gets up and he's like, and he just walks away. It's you can tell he's like, oh shit, what did I do?
I assumed he was gonna go start cooking.
And he is in his, he's drinking. So, yeah. And April's like, so it was your idea to hire her. Mm-hmm. And that's when he says she's the best in the galaxy.
She's the best in the galaxy, sir.
And April brings up something I think that's really interesting. He says, what I would have liked to say about Una is this declaration, this award that she got, and this thing that she did, and how amazing she was, and this, and that, and the other thing. But he didn't get a chance to highlight what an amazing officer she is because he got attacked. So he has a point there.
Dude, April has a baller fade. You see this? Look at that lineup, man. He's not even bald. Like, he's just like, it's just like so tight.
Are you serious? He's not?
No, he's not. Look, you can see that lineup right here. See?
Oh.
Yeah, he's got nice hair, man. He's got nice hair. He's got a nice beard. Everyone in Strange New Worlds is just so damn attractive. It's so crazy.
His beard is really great.
Yeah. I gotta go there. I get my haircut tomorrow. All right.
So Una's pissed, man. She wants to know why Nira did that. And Nira tells her this is about a platform to help Illyrians and to make the Federation look bad. She comes out with it.
Yeah.
But Nira does do something here that is kind of unexpected. She convinces her that she's fighting for her. And you kind of see that Una gets it, you know. And honestly, I think Nira's doing a really good job on day one. I'd want her defending me, dude. If I was like in trouble, I'd want her defending me.
I don't know about that, bro.
Why not?
I just don't know. I feel like she would end up throwing me in jail to further her career in some way.
Well, she's proven
vicious.
she's taken Una. Well, but she's doing what she can here she's trying to help Una for sure. And she has her own platform, but she's definitely out to free Una.
Yeah, so in this instance, their goals align. What if their goals didn't align?
Well, then she wouldn't be my attorney.
I see.
If our goals didn't align, you know.
I'd rather have Saul Goodman when I know that if I give him enough money, he'll do a good job.
Well, yeah, Saul. Well, definitely having somebody more reprehensible than yourself,
right,
in court is definitely helpful.
Right. Yeah. So, Mr. Montgomery, it says you ran over a dog. I did. Yeah. That's what it says. Anyways, here's Saul. Like, never mind.
Oh, never mind. Innocent. This guy's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
So the next we get Spock, La'an, and M'Benga take the stand. And I think they do a really good job of, you know, kind of showing us, you know, who Una is, how important she is to the crew. You know, they're the voice that shows how her crew feels about her. And I think they do a pretty good job here.
Right.
But I do have a downvote.
What is it?
When you get to Spock, I'll do it.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Spock was not great.
So
the rest of the testimonies are good. By the way, their badges are very similar.
Well, his is a little different than the Vulcan, the other one. They are, though, the way they're set up. Look at it. It's got a Starfleet symbol on top. And then it's got like another one on the bottom. It is very interesting. Something I want to go back and say that Kirk wore something like this a long time ago, but I'd have to go back and look at it. So they're doing a really good job. And then Spock decides he's going to crack a joke. Guys, Strange New Worlds writers, please. Spock doesn't make jokes during serious moments.
Look,
he just doesn't.
He's in court. His friend is about to go to prison forever. Like, this is the time you make a joke, bro? I don't understand.
I mean, it's just he just wouldn't do it. He just wouldn't do it. I mean, okay, if you watched it and you're like, oh, that was funny. He says, has she ever been dishonest with you about anything? Or have you ever suspected, like, that she's hiding something? And he's like, an affinity for Gilbert and Sullivan musicals. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, come on. Anybody who's seen the original series look, Spock's been in 91 episodes of Star Trek and 8 movies. Okay. The Nimoy Spock.
Right.
Would he have ever done this in a courtroom where everything was serious? Like, is he our comedy break? Is he the comedian on the group?
Apparently.
Is he our
comic relief?
Comedy relief. That's it. Is he the comic relief? No, Spock is not the comic relief. And he's of the three. You could have had M'Benga do it. It would have been fine, or less. I mean, I still wouldn't have liked it. It's in court. But you don't need levity in the courtroom. You don't need levity. Listen, Star Trek Strange New Worlds writers, stop trying to put levity into the show. Star Trek is a serious show with light moments.
Right.
Okay, serious show, and at the beginning and the end, you might have something light happen. But during the damn show, it's a freaking drama.
Right.
Okay, and you're doing a good job. This is drama, drama, drama. We don't need Spock Draxing it up.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't. So that's a downvote for me.
I already gave it to you. The Drax thing is you're right. They're basically making him look like Drax.
Oh, and wait till you get to episode 5. Like it's like all Drax. All Drax.
I like that episode.
You like it because he's an idiot.
Right.
And he does stupid shit. That's why you like it.
They lean into it.
But it's not Spock. If it's any other show, it's hilarious. But it's not Spock. So sorry. So
that episode we're gonna be on other sides, opposite sides of the coin on that episode, I think too.
What's that?
On episode 5, I think we're gonna be on opposite sides. Although looking at our scores, we're not very much on the opposite side here either.
I really like this episode, but there are moments in this episode that are things that are done that are bad. So my score is bad because there are things that happen specifically during the show that don't make sense, and I'm going to downvote those things. Right. But overall, like, give me a Star Trek courtroom drama, and especially one that I can't see the outcome. And in this, I didn't see the outcome. I'm like, how the hell is she going to get out of this? And she did it in a way I didn't see coming, which was cool. And I need that. Like, I need to be surprised. And let me tell you, ain't nothing about Star Trek that surprised me in a whole long time. Okay. And so this episode gave that a little bit to me.
Why is there so many meetings between La'an and the greatest lawyer in the galaxy?
Well, La'an is her handler on the Enterprise. So she's the one who gave her the room. She brought her the uniform code of not military justice. and so she also did something, and this is where we learn, and this is an upvote for me. Of all the characters on the ship, like, La'an this season is getting the character building.
That's true.
Like, she's really getting good character building. And I got to tell you, Christina Chong is a good actress. Yeah. She's really good.
You're right.
Like we've seen 6 episodes, and I'm just telling you, going forward, like, she's not a problem.
Yeah, next week is great, and she's in it.
The only problem that they have is her damn name, and I'll talk about that in a second.
Augment.
So not yet. We're not. So
sorry.
Basically, La'an. So La'an did something during season 1. So she was mad. She was angry with Una. And so she made a personal log basically saying that she was an Illyrian, right? And La'an is thinking that the reason why Una got in trouble was somebody got a hold of her personal log and turned her in. And that's why she went to Uhura. That's why she's talking to Nira, and why she feels guilty, like it's her fault that this has happened, right?
Right.
And she finally basically says it. She basically tells her. And what's interesting here, because what Nira tells her, she lets her off the hook and says, well, it definitely wasn't you, right? I would have it here, and I don't have that. So that's not what it was. But we learned that La'an is carrying like a deep-seated fear of what her genetics may mean, that she's a monster because of her tie to Khan, you know? And like, this is a personal inner turmoil that she has. One of the reasons why she was upset with finding out that Una was an Illyrian was because of her problems within herself and the thing that she carries, which goes into next episode deeply. And it's part of, her dealing with who she is as an individual. It's good character development, but not in a way that's like gross. Like, she's not constantly like crying in a corner all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's, I like Christina Chong. This show is set in 2258.
This one's 2260.
Or 2260.
Yeah, right now.
So she is at least, 5 generations from Khan?
Yes.
Okay. Like, there's not a whole lot of Khan left in La'an at this point. She's like, a 24th Khan?
Right. That's a really good point. And she's carrying the name. And so you're right. So this is a problem. Like the fact that she's going through this or that she's feeling this or what the connection is to that monster. I mean, imagine if you're a descendant of Hitler. Like, look at how Hitler is used today. And let me just break down my thing here. So I wish they'd named her anything else and not tied her to Khan. It just makes no sense. In 1996, Khan lost power and took control of a DY-100 class interplanetary sleeper ship we know as the SS Botany Bay. All other augments in 1996 were rounded up except for the 84 followers with Khan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now during this show, Khan is still asleep. Like right now, he's out there floating around asleep. He's been asleep ever since. 7 years from now, he's going to wake up. And let's just forget the fact that Spock and Uhura should be like, damn, we knew your great-great-great-great-granddaughter. Right?
Right.
Which is not going to happen. Right? Which messes up things.
Right. Well, I mean, in Space Seed, they don't even know who Khan is. They're like, come on in, buddy. Hey, how you doing? Want something to drink?
Right. No clue.
They should have been like, oh, we know who you are, and we knew your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter.
Right. But think of it this way. Would they have let any of Khan's genes continue on Earth? After 1996, would they have let anybody related to him who might still be on the planet live? Okay?
Right.
And
who might be an augment?
An even better question is would they have kept his name? Like, would anybody at some point been like, look, I'm done with the Hitler name.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to be named Hitler. How many Hitlers do you think are named in Germany? Probably not. I don't know, but I would think that you would not want your name to be Hitler.
Let's find out.
Do you think Hitler's grandchildren would have kept his name? His children or his grandchildren? Why has La'an kept the name? La'an, you can change your damn name. I'm sure you can still change your name in the future. Like, why are you running around as a Noonien Singh?
Right.
Right. So this is a problem. Like, they should give us some sort of story that explains why she feels compelled to, she has to have this dichotomy happening with her where she, to some degree, she's proud of who she is, but she's also horrified by it. And they don't really have that going on. But I think she can only do with what the writers give her as an actress. And that's why I give her big kudos, because she's pulling off everything they're giving her.
Right.
It's just, not the right thing probably. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm a descendant of Genghis Khan. Just so you guys knew.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
Genghis Khan was an amazing ruler.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
connected through Genghis Khan from the Mongolians that raided the land, that crossed the land bridge into Alaska.
Yeah.
So I wonder Khan.
So obviously, Khan Noonien Singh was named after Genghis Khan.
Right.
Of course, that was the inspiration. Genghis Khan was an amazing ruler. He would go in, conquer your territory, and then just be like, oh, no, you do your thing. You're cool. Just make sure,
right.
When I come through, you make room and make sure you send me a tax. But freedom of religion, freedom, whatever you guys want to do, you do.
Genghis Khan didn't bother anybody. After he took over, he was like, okay, listen, I get some of your money and your crops. And then also, when I come through, I want a bed to sleep on and some chick to hook up with that night. And other than that, good luck. Right. Yeah, he was actually pretty chill as a ruler. He was a brutal warlord, but really chill as an emperor.
Well, and what's funny is his empire probably would have lasted a lot longer, but his children didn't have the same, ability to politic that he did.
The same
and
sense.
It fell apart.
They went nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Khan Noonien Singh, actually what's interesting is he's supposed to be from like the Indian region, and he controlled, I want to say a quarter of the globe, a third of the globe, maybe. I got to go back and look. But what's funny is like under his reign, like nobody was killed, murdered. It wasn't like ridiculous. The problem is that there was no freedom. He didn't believe in freedom.
Right.
That's why. But other than that, I mean, it wasn't actually a terrible time.
Wasn't bad.
Yeah. So interesting. By the way, that wasn't real, so I don't know why I'm saying it like it was, but yeah. So in a surprise move, after this La'an thing happens here, we're back in court. We go back. Look at how big Una's room is. Go back one more. Boom. Look at how big Una's room is. Like, bam.
That's Una's room she's checking up in, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where.
What is the point of those pointless giant pillars in the middle of the room? It's so stupid.
It's just, yeah.
That made me go sad. That made me go sad. It's a huge room. It's bigger than my house.
That is so big. Anyways, and now look at this room. Wait. Look there. Okay, look at this shot. This is what is this? This is the ready room. This is the ready room.
Is it though?
Go back. Yeah, go back. He's walking at Spock, right? Yeah, there he is. That's Spock. He's walking up to everybody else who's in the ready room, getting ready to watch the show, getting ready to watch OJ. Right? Look at how big. You go back. He walks in. How many steps does he have to take to get to that? Look at this. Look at how huge this.
Yeah, that is really big. That is a massive ready room.
I mean, how big is your spaceship?
That is a very, very big room.
My Lord Jesus.
It looks like the warehouse for like a 3D printing studio or something.
It does. Yeah, it looks like, man, Vancouver's got some space up there.
Yeah, they do.
Vancouver, Toronto, or they Vancouver?
Might be one of those mirror walls or whatever.
I don't think so. I don't think they were using those they don't use them for interiors like that.
Yeah. All right.
So they're in court again. And in a surprise move, Nira calls Una to the stand. Remember, she said she wasn't going to put her on the stand.
Una.
And that really shows how their relationship has changed over the course of Nira's trust in Una and where she's planning to go with it. And I think it shows growth for that character, so I want to upvote that.
All right.
We learned that Una joined Starfleet because the title of this episode actually used to be the Starfleet motto, and it means "to the stars through hardship." So that was the old Starfleet motto, something we didn't know. She looked at it as the stars could solve her problems and that she could find salvation in being a different person, being an augment. She saw Starfleet personnel come to her planet, and she realized they were from so many different races and there were so many different types of people. She thought surely she would be accepted if all of these people could work together to accomplish things, which makes sense, right?
Right.
And plus it gives them a chance to like display that IDIC, you know?
Right.
We learned that Una grew up modified because it was a tradition of her family. They weren't allowed to celebrate their traditions because they lived in a Federation colony, and she had to hide who she was. People who were found out to be augments were tortured and lived in fear and were persecuted by other people who lived on the planet. They were called Mahdi. That was actually who's sitting around going, what are some things that you call people, some bad words, some things when you're, and they came up with like modified person is like Mahdi. You Mahdi. Kind of made me laugh a little bit.
I don't believe any of this, by the way.
Well, I guess if you were like a modified augment, what would they call you? You know what they say? They'd be like,
Augment. You don't remember her? You don't remember Lon doing the same thing? They called me Augment. Like
they did.
Who is calling you an augment from 250 years ago? Who is doing that?
No. It wasn't 250 years ago. It was
no. They're doing it now, but they're still calling her an augment when she's 250 plus years removed from this man.
I don't remember her saying that. What episode did she say that?
There's a season in an episode in season 1 when she's fighting with Una when she finds out she's Lurian, and she's like, they called me augment.
Well, she was teased for being
right.
She was teased for being a Noonien Singh, which is another. Why did she keep the name? So she was. She was
silly
teased.
It's really silly. I don't know anyone from 250 years ago. I don't know what my ancestors are doing. I don't know any connection to them whatsoever. Noonien Singh is not. It's there's got to be more than just one Noonien Singh. Like everyone knows. I mean, it's just this whole thing. Like 250 plus years, and she's still being criticized for her genetics, and Una is being called a Mahdi. It's just so stupid.
Well, now that's on her planet. We have to assume that's correct. Okay, like what's happening on her planet with modified. We don't know what gene modified people. We don't know what sort of situation that would be. We have to assume that's true. Okay. Now the thing with Noonien Singh is, imagine if you were, Hitler was your last name. Now it's been 80 plus years. right? But still today, that would ring interesting. How about this one? The Jews.
It'd be really funny though if I was at the bank and they're like, and I put my check and it's like, oh, Brian Hitler.
Funny for you in California.
Even then, they'd be like, that's rough, buddy. They wouldn't be like, augment.
Well, I'm sure not everybody did. It's not like a group of people like went around her and augment. Just somebody called her. It was
obviously enough. She was traumatized by it to be mad at Una for being born genetically modified.
Children are evil. We know this. Children are mean and evil, and they're little assholes. We all know this.
But how many children know about history from 250 years ago?
Are you shitting me? The kids constantly today are talking about Hitler. I think it's a big damn
Hitler.
Joke
Sure, yeah.
Let's go back. That's 80 years ago.
Let's go back.
Well,
further.
How about this?
Let's go back to like the atrocities of the Chinese Empire. We're gonna be talking about.
Let's go back 2,000 years. How about this? The reason why Jews are persecuted today still is because they killed Jesus, bro. That is why so many people hate Jews today, is because they killed Jesus 2,000 years ago. It blows my damn mind.
Yeah, first off,
but it exists.
The Roman government is what killed Jesus. The Jews were just complicit. It's not even
the Jews.
No. It was the Roman government. Yeah, the Jewish Sadducees and Pharisees wanted him prosecuted, and the Romans carried it out.
And Pontius Pilate tried to get him off over and over and over again.
Well,
they demanded that he be killed.
He tried to trade. He tried to trade because his wife sent a letter stating that Jesus was a good dude. And it didn't work out. But the Jews are not responsible for Jesus' death.
The Jews are 100% responsible for Jesus. I mean, listen,
that's not true. That's just not
based
true.
On the Bible, based on the Bible, it is. Okay.
That is a small tiny portion of the
I'm just trying to say that was 2,000 years ago. And if you were a Jew in like a neo-Nazi KKK neighborhood, they're going to get you. And the reason they're going to get you
so much more nuance to what you're saying.
Because if La'an was in a neighborhood where people hated augments or they were still, racist in some way, that could have happened to her. You see what I'm saying? Like, we don't know the situation precisely, but being a Noonian seeing that's possible, right?
No, I guess it's possible, but I'll tell you this. Maybe it's possible, but it's fucking stupid.
All right.
Maybe maybe everything you're saying is possible. Maybe it's possible that Una is born an genetically modified human, and she was called Maudie. And maybe they yelled at her and painted her. Yeah, but you know what? Maybe all that's possible, Shane. But I'll tell you right now, maybe it's possible, but it's all stupid.
All right.
It's all really stupid and a waste of my time. Sorry.
Okay.
It is. It's a waste of time.
Well, I'm going to start calling you Marty from now on.
You know what, though?
Like
no.
All right, Marty.
Don't call me Augment. I don't like being called an Augment. From now on, my new name, everyone, is Marty. If you have gotten 2 hours into this video and you are hearing my voice right now, please comment below and say, hello, Marty.
Okay. All right. So where are we at here?
So stupid.
So we find out that Una almost died as a child because she could not seek regular medical attention. So at the beginning of the episode, we saw she had been injured, but they couldn't take her to a doctor, and I guess she almost died. And they did finally find an Illyrian doctor that was able to take care of her, but I guess it was a problem. And this was a really important moment because you can see Nira's everything about her personality changes when she hears Una's story about what happened. She's angry at Una, we find out, because she left, right? And she went to go be in the non-Illyrian city. They were split into Illyrian and non-Illyrian cities, and her family went to the non-Illyrian city, even though they were Illyrians, and left Nira to the Illyrian city. And I guess Illyria never got over that. Nira never got over it.
Does Illyria town have like really great noodle places with like chickens hanging in the window?
What? I don't.
I'm assuming, right?
Why?
Because it's like Chinatown, right?
What does that have to do with China?
No, it's like in life right now. Have you ever gone to like L.A. between like First and like Alameda, where it's like nothing but China? There's like Chinese temples, Chinese food places. We go down there.
Where the Chinese people settled within a city.
Get some great noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she's talking about the Illyrian part of the city, I'm just assuming that's what it's like. Like that's their portion of the city.
Oh no, well maybe they were, but I think they were actually separated into two different cities. So like separated from each other, like they didn't interact. So, but you know, who knows? They weren't really specific about it.
Or anywhere in
China
Santa
said
Ana is basically Tijuana.
That is such a racist thing to say. Northern Tijuana, where Brian lives, across the border. If you're trying to say that there are a lot of
Star
Hispanic
Wars,
people,
I think Anna, Star Wars girl, lives in Santa Ana. Sorry,
she
Anna.
does,
Yeah. All right.
Don't worry, she's not watching this.
Yeah, she ain't watching.
Maybe her boyfriend is, but not her.
Yeah, but she's something. Congratulations, bro.
She's not watching. She got turned it off after 10 minutes. Okay, so let's see. So we find out that blah, 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 blah. Nero was angry with Una this whole time. We learned that Una turned herself in. So it was Una who turned herself in. It was not. Give me an upvote, sir.
That's the big reveal.
The big reveal is that she did it herself. She could not live with the lie anymore. She didn't want to pretend she was someone she wasn't. She wanted her crew to know her for who she really was. Major kudos to Una. I got to tell you, Una is like becoming the best Star Trek character on this show.
I'll give that an upvote. I thought that was clever, but I didn't like the weird flashback things that they were doing.
Oh, well, that's about to get downloaded, so we'll hold on to that for a second. She would finally be safe if she could just tell the truth. She wanted Starfleet to accept her, and there's a quote here that I really, really like, and it just embodies what Star Trek is. And I'm gonna give another upvote because I love this quote so much. And she says, Una Chin Riley says this: Starfleet is not a perfect organization, but it strives to be, and I believe it can be. Now, this is an organization who is persecuting her and prosecuting her for who she is, but she still believes in it. She still thinks that it can be what she believes it can be. And that is the hope that Star Trek is, and it's why we watch these shows. And I appreciate this thought being put into it.
Yeah, all right. I like that too.
Oh, of course. Oh, yes. Now we've got the JAG. Yes, we have the Judge Advocate General.
Evil Vulcan. Oh.
So the
Jews.
the defense rests, right? And Captain Batel gets up because she's going to start questioning Una now. And the Vulcan JAG stands up and he puts his hand on Batel's...
stay down. I will cross-examine the Jew.
and he pushes her back into her seat. And I was like, dang, talk about aggression.
Bro, hashtag me too. Calm down.
And here's what's funny about it. The Vulcan immediately begins attacking Captain Pike for knowing that Una was Illyrian. And despite Nima's objections that Captain Pike isn't on trial, the court allows it. Downvote.
Yeah.
Earlier, you judges said that April was not on trial here.
Right.
This wasn't about April. Okay. So now how is it about Pike? And why is it okay? And why does the court allow it? Here's what I'll say. Look, I get it. You want the drama. You writers, you showrunners, you directors, you want the drama, but you can't write like there are no rules.
Right.
If you can't find a way to close the loop on what you're doing, you have to keep trying until it works. You have to keep the story going until you can make it happen the way it's supposed to. You can't make characters hypocrites because it suits the story you want to tell, because you got all kinds of great drama out of the April thing because the judge was like, no, you can't do that. And now you want to throw this thing where it's like, oh, it's not just Una in trouble. Now it's Pike in trouble too. You can't just do that on a whim. It has to make sense to your overall story. You cannot make your judges hypocrites and one-sided because you've lined them up as basically wanting to do the right thing. They're not. If you look at these judges here, they're not one-sided. Right. You haven't seen any leaning to the prosecution side at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So them doing this is a plot device. It's not honest or true to what the story that you're telling. It's a mistake.
Right. Yeah. It's trying to get they're trying to make the audience feel like maybe he's also going to have problems and not just Una. And because we are following him closely, we are more connected to him versus April. So
what they should have done, and this would have been great, is you find a way to get Pike on the stand anyways, right? and then you formally bring him upon charges right there.
Right.
That would have been great. It would have been a good twist. And all of a sudden it'd been like, oh my God, I'm in trouble now. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of having Battelle save him earlier in the show during a pointless scene where they're sitting at dinner, let him go on the stand and get in trouble, and then let Neera let him off the hook, get him off the hook.
Right.
Together. That would have been a better way to do it.
It would have made her Neera look more capable too.
Yeah.
It would have been that, James Spader Boston Legal moment.
Right. So we find out that they're now planning to court-martial Pike, and the JAG lays out his closing arguments. But Neera doesn't let it go down that way. Now, as you can see right here, she's taken the Starfleet code of not military justice,
Yeah.
and she's brought it to the prosecution and has Captain Battelle read her a law that allows for asylum within Starfleet. Fantastic. Upvote. Really great job. Like, this is like, oh, asylum. Oh, good. And look at Battelle's face. I love this. She got a smile because she's secretly on their side. But her evil boss next to him is like, you know what I'm saying? So I love that they allowed her
Why
to have that.
you're helping the Jews?
Una's not a Jew, man. Okay, come on. She didn't kill Jesus. All right.
Oh, God, don't say that.
We just had an entire conversation.
I know. Just stop. It's not a good place.
Look, I'm just talking about facts. I'm not talking about whether it's right or wrong or whatever. I'm just talking about merely what history seems to dictate happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Notice my facial structure and my brown hair. And notice Shane's facial structure and his blonde hair and blue eyes. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, no. I don't have blue eyes, but I am 0.1% Jewish. It's on my 23andMe. I can prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. 0.1%. I was surprised. I thought I was like 8%. I'm pretty sure my last 23andMe, it said 8%. I swear to God.
Dude,
and I went and looked at it yesterday.
My grandfather's name
changed.
is Clausen. He's an Orthodox Jew. Yes, it is.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Your mom's
He's an Orthodox Jew.
Yeah, you're a complicated person. Meanwhile, I'm like 92% European. So, yeah.
What are you saying?
Actually, I'm actually only about I'm 14% German French. That's it. I'm like 80 something percent like British, Irish, or whatever.
North African.
Until it changes next month. I'm only 0.1% North African. Here's the other thing. If we all came from Africa, shouldn't I have like more percent of African in me?
Yeah,
for real.
You're right. If Africa is like the cradle of like civilization, right?
Right.
We should all have African in us.
Right. I still think aliens made us.
Yeah, clearly. Clearly aliens that now live underground in the ocean.
Yes.
Or parts of the ocean.
On the planet, right.
They're reptilians. They were here before us. It's what the dinosaurs evolved into.
Got it. Well, some at least. Yeah.
And we were actually created to be like livestock, but then they had to go underground because the world started freezing during the Ice Age, and the livestock got smart, and now we run the planet, and they're stuck down there, worried about us blowing everyone up with a nuke. You've been listening to Inky and Enlil. I have. Nice. I have. Yes. All right. More on that later. Okay. So no, we just lost a bunch of people. Yeah. All right. So here's what's weird about in this courtroom. Now she's laying this out. It's like fantastic. It's like she's explaining why asylum fits Una's argument, but they make a huge mistake. Downvote. They start giving us flashbacks of things that we just saw to show us what she means. That was so weird. It was like they didn't trust us to put it together. Yeah. And like in the flashbacks, they weren't like it wasn't like a quick here's what just happened, but it was actually like a different color grade, and it was very odd. They were trying to make it a flashback, but here's the problem. Whoever decided to do this, whether the editor, the showrunner, the director, whoever decided to do this, okay, what you're saying to us is that we're not smart enough to get it. Right. And let me tell you something. I got it immediately. Listen, Star Trek, no offense to all the hard work you guys are doing here on Strange New Worlds, is not the smartest Star Trek we've ever seen, okay? We all watched TOS and TNG, and we got it. And we didn't need anybody.
to give us little flashbacks while you're describing something so that we're like, oh, okay, I'll get it. She did that. Okay. Ooh. Yeah,
Well,
we don't need that.
It was too on the nose. It's like instead of showing every single point, they could have gone to Pike, who was watching, and you could have heard her repeat her words in his mind, using him as a vessel to remind the audience about what she said 10 minutes ago.
Or just we're fucking paying attention and we got it the first time. So when she says, they did not need to do that. They could have stayed on her. They didn't need a flashback. They don't need anything else. We're not fucking idiots.
Well, they could have also had the actual lawyer here spell it out for the judge.
They did it. She was doing it.
And not do flashbacks. Like, actually,
she literally was spelling it out. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, she was saying, the asylum status and the way she was treated and the fact that she told Pike.
What I'm saying is that they only needed her. They don't need all the other stuff. They didn't need the other stuff.
Nothing else needed to happen. If you watched, let's put it this way. If you watched Boston Legal or any courtroom drama that's ever existed, are they going to show you flashbacks while they're like breaking the case of what happened earlier in the episode? No, they're not. They're just going to explain it, and they're going to assume that you're smart enough. And that's one of the problems with Strange New Worlds is they don't think that the people watching it are smart enough to be able to get it.
No,
they're talking down to you.
Exactly what would happen in Boston Legal is James Spader would be like, he would smack his teeth, push his chair back, and he would stand up and then breathe in, and right then you realize that whoever he was talking to was about to get ruined verbally, and he would paint the case out, and the entire audience would be like, oh, okay.
Yes, and I was having that wonderful moment of, oh, yes, great job, right? And you can get that by getting the reaction from Una. You cut to Una giving her like, oh, like, I didn't even see this coming. You get the reaction from Pike going, oh, and like, the fact that they get it will almost transpond to us getting it. You don't need to have her say it again while it's being explained. She says she was treated badly, and then Una says, I was treated badly. Mm-hmm. She went down the hall.
I went down the hall.
It's just so dumb. Like
she requested, she turned herself in. I turned myself in.
Come on.
You're right. It was really bizarre.
It was so bizarre and such bad choice. And, it's sad because it's like, some of the great Star Trek episodes are episodes where they're doing a courtroom drama. There's, we've got, what are a couple of them that were my favorite? Measure of a Man. TOS has a great episode. What was it? It was Court Martial, I think was it. Yeah. And they're really good episodes. And this kind of has that same flavor to me because I didn't expect the ending. I didn't think they'd go the route of asylum. And it makes sense. And we can also understand it today. Like if somebody comes to our country, right, or any country, and they want political asylum or they want asylum because they're being persecuted from where they're from, like we're going to let them come and stay. Yeah. And she used April's breaking. This is what's fantastic about it. She used April's breaking of the first general order, right? And when he even said, sometimes captains have to make, command choices.
Yeah, captain's prerogative.
They're not easy. And she says, and Pike made that command choice. And it goes all the way back to her first questioning of Robert April. That's what's good about this episode is that it's very smart and very interesting. And it's the way a Star Trek story should be told. And even though it has minor problems throughout the entire thing, overall, we should be surprised by an ending and we should say, that makes sense.
Yeah, I wasn't really surprised by her coming back on the ship. Like I knew she wasn't going to be off the show.
Of course, she was going to win somehow.
Yeah. I'll give that a down an upvote because I agree that was the way that it turned out was good. The flashback thing was horrendous, but whatever.
Yeah.
And now Una is back on the ship.
Yep, and she's found not guilty. But now what's good is they stuck to Star Trek canon, and I upvote this. I like this. They didn't ruin it by saying, you know what? You're right. You know what? All augments free. Yay! Do whatever you want. No, the judge said, look, we still believe in our rule that genetic engineering, they double down on it. Genetic engineering is not acceptable. We need to protect ourselves against, superhumans taking over the world again.
Case by case
Even
basis.
But she said, but look, we need to judge people as individuals, case by case. And that is right. That makes sense. And it also doesn't ruin the rest of Star Trek by now making it okay for augments to do whatever the heck they want.
Well, it does ruin the rest of Star Trek for me, because now I'm like, where are the Illyrians in TOS, in TNG, and DS9, and Voyager, and Picard, and Lower Decks, and Prodigy? Like, come on.
Where are the Xindi? Yeah.
Where are the Xindi?
No,
Like,
there's things like that. I get it. It's where are all of
the Kelpians?
The Kelpians, where are they at?
Yeah. Apparently, they only exist in 2 time frames. When Discovery was around, and then when Discovery went into the future, apparently all the Kelpians also traveled with Discovery to the future. And that's why you don't see them. You only see them in 2248 and in 3,000 billion 45 or whatever it is. That's the only time you see them. And apparently they're so strong they can burn entire universes by crying or something. I don't know.
Yes, I agree with you. Okay, so here we get to the end. Here
Power
we have
of emotion.
So go back just a little bit more. So we got Una back on the Enterprise with Nira, and they finally make up as friends, right? Which is nice. But then they do this weird thing. They do this weird lingering hand holding thing.
Oh, they did do that.
So let's go to that really quick. It's just back a little more, just before they're standing close to each other and she walks away. So keep going back before she gets her applause. Okay. Yeah. So now if you can, look at how long they show this. What the hell? Okay. So.
You didn't know? Una's a lesbian, Shane.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Downvote. And not because Una's a lesbian. Who doesn't want to see that?
Right away. Straight to jail.
But let me tell you, it's a weird. Okay. So it just makes no sense. It feels to me like they are LGBTQ pandering here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Strange New Worlds has these moments. I don't know why they do this.
It's weird.
Where it seems like they leave things in that can be interpreted in multiple ways in order to appease the loud fan base who demand more queer representation. Right. They're doing this to give them a, didn't you see that? They could be queer. Okay, we're cool. They gave us,
grow a backbone. Go full gay or no gay, but none of this. Don't just sit on the fence. It's cowardly.
Right. Yes. So that's my point. Nothing about these two women's relationship in this episode gave us any idea of sexual tension or that there was a budding relationship or even an old flame. Nothing. So it really felt disingenuous, this moment here. Either they are or they aren't. Do it right.
It's very weird.
Give it to us all the way. Don't go halfway.
Grow a backbone, okay? And I just cut to a scene with them furiously scissoring before they get back on the transporter pad. All I'm saying is the reason it's cowardly is because you are putting just enough in there to let one group interpret one thing and another group interpret another thing.
It's politics.
And it's political. Now, some people would praise that. Hey, you're pleasing everyone. But what it does is it waters down the entire story. You don't need any of the propaganda. You don't need to check any boxes. Like, if you want to have a gay character, fine. You want to have a blind character, fine. Do it. Just do it. Don't try to please both sides of the aisle. Just create a story and don't worry about the politics.
Yeah, if the story's great, it doesn't matter what their sexuality is.
It really doesn't.
And you stop trying to make special community points. That's all I'm going to say. Like, don't do that. Don't put these weird things. They
did that in the episode 1 too with the two moms or whatever. That was such a quick thing you didn't even notice.
Pointless. Right. It was pointless. And I get like they want to normalize the idea of it. And maybe that two mom thing, I would argue maybe that was like a normalization because they didn't focus on it. Hell, I didn't even notice it. So, so maybe just making it a normal thing is fine. But this is not that. This is like a lingering weird thing. Yeah. Like, is Una gay? Is she lesbian? Is this girl lesbian? What? How do we? And then you got the people who are, LGBTQ going, yes, another moment for us, win. And it's like, it's just confusion because are they right or are they wrong? I mean, what was that? I mean, they actually showed a hand-holding moment in court, and I went, "Oh, this shows that they're together, like they're unified, not
Right.
that they're lovers."
Right.
Right? It's just listen. If
Oh,
you're
you
gonna
didn't
make
see that
somebody,
scene where Nira looks over and Una's like, you didn't see that, huh? Oh, they must have cut that scene.
not how they would have gone. But
That
look,
wasn't that was in the screener.
look if they had done something where like, listen, if Una's going to be a lesbian, okay, I don't care. I mean, not that I want that to happen, honestly, because I find her actually very attractive, and I want to be able to look at her as a sexual being.
Doesn't really matter. Anyways, continue.
But my point is that I don't really want it to go down that way. So don't do it unless you really feel like you need to. Like, is it going to make the story
I just
better?
don't understand why do we even need to bring that in question? Like, I don't get it.
I mean, we know Pike's. Oh my gosh, the sensors are trying to kill me.
Shane is over here just like coughing his eyes out. Yeah, we know Pike's straight, right?
I mean, listen, it's okay. Like we get it,
and we know Chapel's bisexual.
Listen, I would argue we didn't need Pike to have a fucking girlfriend.
We didn't. We didn't need any of that.
It's a waste of time, man.
Yeah,
like we didn't need any of that shit. I don't care if he's having sex with Battelle.
Yeah, we don't. Like none of this is important. Like romance is fine. Like we can have romance on the shit. We can have romance in stories. But like
very minimal.
Constantly hyper focusing on the intended sexuality of characters is weird.
It is. It's like it's such a time waste. Like the whole point of it is, and I think I think it's going to come out in a video we're doing soon. The whole point of I apologize for my voice here. The whole point of it is honestly to satisfy a certain demographic of people. Like the reason why you have romance and stuff in movies and TV shows is for the ladies. I'm sorry to say. You know, that's why they do it. Dudes don't care. We really don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't need romance. We don't need lingering. We don't need a will they, won't they. Girls do. Okay. But guess what? Star Trek is like 80-20 dudes, girls. I don't believe me or not. Don't believe or not. But mostly dudes like Star Trek. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're science fiction nerds. Mostly dudes like science fiction. I'm not saying all dudes. There's plenty of you ladies out there that do. But there's less of you. So stop wasting time.
Yeah.
Constantly interjecting. I mean, what's Strange New World's been? Spock and Chapel. Will they, won't they? La'an and Kirk. Will they, won't they? Spock and T'Pring. Pike and Battelle. I mean, literally, like it's like a constant, never-ending.
Chapel, Spock, and T'Pring and M'Benga in one Roman orgy. Oh. No, you know.
Not what your interests are, Brian.
Look, here's the deal. Shane, you think we're talking out our ass, but we got facts. Our main channel has 117,000 subscribers. We have videos about Star Trek specifically with millions of views.
And not pitched one way or the other, just about specifically Star Trek, period.
Yeah, specifically about Star Trek. Like a theory about how the Romulans created the Borg or whatever, right?
Right.
And you can go into the stats on that video and look at the demographics of the 1 million+ people that watch that video, and it will be 98% male.
92. Yeah.
92% male. Straight up, though, it will be.
Yeah.
92% male. And so we're not talking our ass. There's a 1 million+ people watch that video, and 92% of them were male.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and not just that, our whole channel is pretty much 90%. And that's not us talking. Like that's us making videos where you never see our faces.
Right.
So it really, you could sit here and say, well, you're a couple of white guys, white bearded guys with this perception of,
but not on that channel.
Your white guy attitude, not on that channel. And it's all Star Trek and it's just dudes. And I'm not saying, look, I want everybody to love Star Trek, but you cannot create Star Trek to drag another demographic in. You can't make it to get the ladies to show up.
You can add flair that works, but like you can't. Just like before, we can't push down a demographic in order to raise up another demographic, especially when you're pushing down the demographic that is entirely watching the show. Like, you can add a little bit to it for both things, but you got to stick to your original demo.
Well, at what point do you water down Star Trek so much that it's not Star Trek? And that's the problem. Is like TOS was, it has smaller audience and mostly dudes, and then TNG, maybe a little more ladies, but mostly dudes. As you go along, it's like mostly guys. And when they go to the movie theaters and they make movies, they don't make a ton of money. They don't make $1 billion because it's mostly guys who like Star Trek, and you can't get it all. So what Paramount wants to do, I see it. They want to make it palatable for everybody. The problem is when you make it palatable for everybody, Star Trek loses the magic that it is. Star Trek cannot be $1 billion franchise. It can't, and not hold on to its essence. It just can't do it. Yeah, and they're doing it with Strange New Worlds here. They're trying to make it.
You got your point. Now listen, we've said it before. If you're a lady and you're watching Star Trek, that's awesome. I've been trying to get my wife to watch Star Trek for 20 years, and I can't even get her to do it on my birthday. Okay. So here's the deal. If that's the case, you watch that, that's great. We're not saying you don't exist. We're saying that you're a small portion of the fan base, yet right. Paramount is serving you as if you are the majority of the fan base. It's very odd.
Well, they want you to be the majority. I do believe that's the motivation, because they're not dumb. Like, they know who watches it. So they just figure, this is the reasoning with Hollywood right now. Like, you dudes are going to show up anyways. We got you. Right? But we need to get the ladies in. But what you're doing is just ruining everything. Like, you're ruining all the stories by trying to bring that demographic. And they're just not going to be the loyal, longtime fans that you're going to have for people who are like fanatics about Star Trek. And there's some fanatic ladies. I'm not saying that, but it's just less.
Imagine this. My wife watches novellas, right? And one of our novellas is called like Tu Mi Amor. I don't know what it's called. Let's say it's Tu Mi Amor. Mm-hmm. What if the Tu Mi Amor producers are like, listen, we need more guys to watch the show.
Right.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna nix a lot of like the romance scenes where they like talk about their feelings a lot.
We're gonna have guys working on cars.
Guys working on cars with explosions in the background.
With explosions.
And you know what? We also need more English speakers. Let's nix a lot of the Spanish and just put English speaking instead. Like. Right. Guess who's
That's a great analogy, dude. That is a brilliant analogy.
Guess who's going to stop watching the show? My wife. She will stop watching that show. And the women that watch the show will stop watching the show.
The fans who like the show will stop watching it because you're no longer the show you were supposed to be.
And the few people you may have attracted in your bizarre idea
don't care.
And it's not enough to keep the show running. And what do you got? That's it. Cancellation.
Yeah. They're going to watch you, and then they're going to go to Yellowstone next week. Oh, yeah, back to Yellowstone. They don't care. They're not waiting for the next Star Trek to come out like on pins and needles. Their life depends on it. Like they're fucking junkies.
Right.
They're not going to do that.
No, because right. Because you got rid of the junkies when you changed it so much.
Right.
Because you were trying to get a bigger audience.
Yeah. Oh, look, you know what they were doing? Let's do a drug analogy. They were cutting their drugs.
Oh, God.
They were watering down the drugs. Like, it's like 100% bitching, like shooting that shit up your veins is awesome. And now you're putting 75% water, and you're like, I'm not getting high anymore.
This is a horrible analogy.
It's a great analogy because you aren't getting as high anymore.
No, the novella. No, this is not a good. Don't ever. We're cutting that. That's
just nobody know about drugs.
Look.
I mean,
to be fair, Yellowstone.
I've watched a lot of TV shows.
Yellowstone did it pretty well. They did have both demographics, but it was at the.
No, I'm just saying there's no like diehard. I mean, maybe there are. Let me pick another show.
I mean, no, there are diehard Yellowstone people, but listen, you got this. Is what happened? You got a bunch of people that like Yellowstone on both demos, right? Mm-hmm. But not everybody. Like, I don't like it, but like my brother-in-law likes it, and his wife and my wife. There's no like crazy fanatics either way about the show. It's a show that both genders anytime a person can watch, and maybe they get something out of it. But they're not going to Yellowstone conventions and wearing cowboy hats and like and creating theory videos on YouTube.
Tyler Sheridan dress up.
Like that's not happening. It's just not.
Yeah.
Like, and you want the fanatic fan base that are going to buy anything you put out there ever.
Right.
You got to find your niche and stick to it. YouTube works the same way.
Yeah. Listen, look behind me. Okay, we're the people buying shit.
All right.
Like, You stop trying to bring people in who aren't going to buy anything. Okay.
Right.
Or bring them in and cool, but bring them in because you're telling good Star Trek. I don't know. I think Star Trek is destined to be a niche thing.
I mean, what did Captain Shaw? He's Todd Stashwick said, look, you can have Star Trek for anyone. You can have different Star Trek shows. You can have a Star Trek show for the CW crowd. So as long as you're pleasing your main audience, you can branch out and do crazy stuff.
No,
I don't have to
agree.
watch it, but like, just make sure the main audience is represented, or you're gonna lose what makes it special. You can't, like, let's say you have a business and you sell taquitos, right? And every day you go out and you sell your taquitos. Well, you're also selling tostadas and maybe some churros, right?
Well, you have 5-star taquitos.
Taquitos.
Like your taquitos is what you were made on. Like they're your
Right.
5-star.
Everyone comes there for
Everybody
taquitos.
shows up for the taquitos.
A
right.
few people might come to and get a churro or a tostada or some horchata or jamaica, right? Whatever. But the majority of your customer base are there for the taquitos. And one day you're like, fuck taquitos, I'm making churros. Right?
Yeah.
And your family's like, yo, hey, taquitos tonight? Nah, dog, but we got some bomb churros. And, well, I don't fucking want a churro, dude.
You're like, all right.
I mean, I guess I'm here already. I'm here already, so I'll try a churro. When are you going to get taquitos? Maybe next week.
Yeah.
And after like 5 weeks of coming in, you're like, oh, so this dude stopped making taquitos.
Right. That's a good analogy. I like that. And here's the thing is, like, you're right. I mean, but the problem is like, if you're going to spend a bunch of money on a show where people aren't going to show up, I mean, just look at it. I mean, they're going to see it. They're not as many people are going to show up to watch Strange New Worlds that showed up to watch Picard season 3. It just ain't going to happen. And guess what? Right. Even less people are going to show up to watch Starfleet Academy. It's just the way it is.
Hashtag
you
facts.
know? And so, you got to make a show that's going to get the majority of your Star Trek fans to show up. Star Trek Legacy or Strange New Worlds. Listen, this show is not like gone by any means. I can tell you what they need to do to fix it. We have a video coming up with that in it, but I don't want to say too much. But
don't say too much. I'm editing it right now, and it's
is that good or bad?
It's just a lot of work.
But the content's good.
No, the content. Okay, so Shane sent me the script and the audio today, and I was like, "Wow, this is really good."
Okay, that's good.
And then it was really good. And then Shane goes, "Don't worry, it's not that much editing.
I don't think it
should be easy."
I'm giving you hope.
It's effing not. There's so many references and clips and like episodes. Like there's so. I don't know. Shane doesn't understand what the word easy means. I think that you mean, don't worry, it should be hard.
I tried to give limited references to help you.
Jesus, this guy. But it's a good video. It's a good video.
All right, good. So let's finish out this really quick. You got everybody there, of course, welcoming Una back. What I love is, and I get this upvote here, I love that they are all like happy to have her back. And then Una says, okay, everybody back to work. What are you doing? Who's running the ship? Who's flying the thing?
That was good.
And she puts everybody back to work. I love that professionalism. It's something that's missing from Strange New Worlds that I need. We need an anchor, someone we can look at and go, that person's going to get the job done. Stop trying to make me laugh going back and forth with these characters.
I was trying. Okay. You weren't cracking. I'm proud of you.
No, I've got to see it happen. Okay, so that's one. So that's good upvote. Now, second one, going too far here. Okay, that is my next upvote.
Yeah, I knew that was it. That's why I stopped there.
I love this moment. I love this moment.
I'll give this an upvote too.
Anson Mount just pulls this shit off. Okay, so he's talking to her and he just like hugs her. Like all of the emotion, he's been bottled up this whole episode. He hasn't been able to do anything. He hasn't been able to fix anything. He's had no impact on all the shit going on. He's had to sit there and just take it all. And what does he do? He, in this moment where he's like going to have this moment where he just quickly like just embraces her, and all of everything that he's been feeling just kind of is in this hug, right? That he's just so grateful to have her back. And then he peels back and he's like, and he blows it off. He's like, tries to like,
regain his composure,
regain the professionalism that a CO and an XO must have between each other, because you cannot have this relationship with the two people in command. You can't. There has to be a professionalism there, and they both recognize it and they do it. And it's a really great moment and a good job by the people who made this.
Yeah, I gotta say, Anson Mount is a really good actor. It's fun.
I love him.
It's fun
really
watching.
do.
It's fun watching him work. Certain people, it's fun watching them work, even if there's like enough flaws in here to drop a freaking horse with tranquilizer darts.
They need to get him out of the damn kitchen and
Get
have
him
him
out
out
of
there
the
captaining.
Yeah, get out of the kitchen. Get back to the bridge, bro. What are you doing? Stop making Vulcan delicacies.
I don't know if you noticed. If you can go back a little bit more, when Christina Chong is in the shot with her and just the two of them, and they're next to each other, like you there. Go back. Boom. Okay, I want you to look at this. Rebecca Romaine is 5 feet 11 inches tall. That is a big woman.
What?
She is almost as tall as I am.
Well,
Rebecca Romaine is 5 feet 11 inches tall.
She is pretty much my height.
She's taller than you by like an inch.
No, I'm 5'11".
All right.
No, I am.
All right, we'll see.
I am 100% 5'11".
I'm 6 feet, and I don't think you're an inch shorter than I am.
Dude, I am an inch shorter than you for sure. Oh, you're saying you think I'm shorter than you?
I think you're shorter than that.
Look,
yeah.
I have no size issues about myself except for my except for my horizontal. I am 100% 5'11". It's on my driver's license.
We're gonna measure you.
I'll just show you.
Well, hey, the driver's license can be anything.
No, it can't. No, it can't.
They don't measure you. They don't actually go.
Yes, they do.
Put you on a wall. No, they.
Yes, they do. They put you against the wall, and there it is. How do I?
Don't show your driver's license. Do not.
5'11", right there.
Anyways, you know she's also married to Jerry O'Connell from Sliders.
Yes, I did know that.
Yeah.
Holy crap! This thing says
super sci-fi family.
My weight is 215. This was at least 2 years ago.
that was a while back.
Yeah. I've gained like 60 pounds, 70 pounds since then. Jeez. Oh,
now, what makes me nervous is that the best Strange New Worlds episode that I've seen in a year and 6 episodes now, 16 episodes. This is the best one for me. And it's a score of 2. And that worries me a little bit.
It's rough.
It is. It is positive, ultimately.
Is it ultimately positive?
For me, it is. For me.
Yeah, but now add them up together. Is it positive?
No, you managed to sneak that negative 1 in there.
I didn't sneak it in. I've been very honest this entire time. I upvoted.
You didn't give any upvotes when well, you did. You had some, but you didn't do any upvotes in the courtroom.
Because I got the entire courtroom scene. No, that's not true. I upvoted the last part when she exonerated her with the asylum charge.
Okay.
But everything else was not upvotable, in my opinion.
Okay. Fair enough. That's why we're a team, man.
That's right. I drag you down.
Only down to 5'10". That's it.
Oh, fuck you. I am not 5'10". Look, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't it seem like I'm taller than more than
you are way taller than me, but I'm 5'11". I've always been 5'11" since the military. Don't take an inch from me, dude.
I'm not trying to take anything from you. I just know how tall I am.
To all my short kings out there. Okay? You know what's funny is there's some poor bastard that's like 5'3". He's like, fucking
fuck you.
Love that.
It's like, fuck you both and fuck you guys. I don't want to hear about your problems at 5'11" or 5'10".
We had a guy that worked for us once. His name was I'm not gonna say his name. What the hell was wrong with me? But he was a good guy. He was probably like 5 foot, right?
Yeah.
And real nice guy. But he was one of these guys who didn't give a fuck about his height.
Well, how can you? Like, you can't worry about it.
Bro,
you are what you are.
He didn't have any complex about it. He did whatever he had to do when he had to do it. He was cocky and arrogant, and he is marrying a girl, right, in the next couple months. You've seen his girlfriend?
No.
Dude, she is taller than me.
Oh,
this guy is marrying a girl that is taller.
That's confidence for you.
That is taller than I am. And then I make fun of him. I'm like, yo, how does that work, dude? Does she carry you?
Jerry?
Does she carry you in bed?
Oh my God.
He hates it. He's the guy who bought me this the Demon Dean pan.
Yeah.
Anyways, listen,
right, well,
if you're a short king, It's okay. Be a short king. It's okay.
Be short. Yeah.
No big
short,
deal.
Tall. You're good however you are.
Doesn't
And listen, if you love Strange New Worlds, listen, if you watch this whole review, and you know, I think people who like the show might be frustrated by it. Listen, we're just being honest about what we see, what we hear, and based on how we feel about Star Trek, you know, in general. And listen, we're to some degree purists. At least I am. I know.
There's no way if people like this, they made it this far. They left it like 20 minutes ago easily.
It's possible, but if they got through it, and because they want to hear both reasonable sides, I would just say, go watch 4 or 5 TOS episodes. Go watch Journey to Babel. Go watch.
Why do you say Babel? It's Babel.
I don't know, because Babel is the name of it. Babel is, I don't know. I know what I'm talking about.
I recently watched Journey to Babel because of this video we're putting out on Friday. Dude, that is amazing.
That's how science fiction needs to
be
made.
DC Fontana, that's her name, right?
Yeah. Dorothy. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
Like clearly brilliant. Look, guys, I like graphics and new stuff, okay? And it's rare that I watch something where I'm like, oh, that was amazing. Bro, and I've seen every episode of TOS, but there's plenty of episodes that I just haven't seen in a long, long time, and I'm a lot older now, and I can appreciate things more for their cerebral aspects. And I watched that episode while I was doing the video, and I'm like,
it's so good.
It's so good, man. It's so you got it. There's and it's been remastered. It's like if you're a quality queen like me, dude, go to Paramount. It's remastered. It's beautiful. It's beautiful graphics.
Yeah,
everything.
I can't believe all the external stuff. They redid all the ship scenes and everything.
It's so good.
Everything externally is done. But here's the thing: go watch some of these shows. Go watch that one. Go watch. Don't watch. Well, what else could you watch? You could watch Amok Time is a good one. You could watch. Yes. Oh, anyways, there's a whole bunch of them. Go watch
Stargate Window of Opportunity.
No, go watch episode 2 or season 2. There's a bunch of good episodes. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but on the names, you know, Devil in the Dark. Yeah, there's a bunch of good ones. Go watch them. City on the Edge of Forever. That's what I was thinking of. And you watch those, and then go watch Strange New Worlds, and you tell me that they're doing Spock right. Okay, yeah. You tell me that they're doing Spock right.
Right.
Because listen, here's what's going to blow your mind. The Spock you see in Strange New Worlds, the one in Discovery season 2 is more like Spock than this one. Now that I went back and watched the God forbid, I went back and watched all the episodes with Spock for a video that we're doing, and he was actually acting more like Spock than he is in Strange New Worlds.
I hated him so much in Discovery.
And remember how much frustrated we were? Yeah. Dude, watch it now. It's like, oh, that Spock is confident, respected, and knows what the hell he's talking about. Not Strange New World Spock. You know, so I don't know where they're taking him.
You're right. It's weird. Like, yeah, he was almost, people looked at him in awe in Discovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But in Strange New Worlds, he's a child with a soft helmet.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Very odd.
Very strange and wrong. So fix it. You can fix it. This show can right this ship. Just go back to Strange New World season 1, episode 1, and do that every episode. That's how Spock should act. Forget about Chapel.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's it for us. Let us know what you guys think in the comments section below. On the way there, hit that like button. And if you're not a subscriber and you've watched this long on the video, what are you doing? Come on.
Subscribe.
Come on, bro. All right. That's it. Love you guys. We'll see you guys in a few hours for the Unleashed show. Adios.
See you guys later.